has been a minute. Obama's Weedman, thank you so much for the 13 months of subs.
Obama's Weedman.
What's up? I'm slowly fading the music out. Welcome in. Oh, hey, Graphite Avatar. How's it going? Cheers. Happy Synth Friends. I want to cheers you. Happy Synth Friends. We haven't done one of these in a while. You have to take a sip when you cheers, right?
That's usually the way it works.
I feel like I need to scoot. We're obviously still playing around with our setup here. I feel like I'm taller than you. So we're still getting settled into the space and haven't like fully revealed everything yet that we're doing and why we've taken that break, but that shall be forthcoming. So in the meantime, we had our good friend Mitchell Leonard scheduled for a Synth Friends, so we thought, let's do it anyway, even though we feel like we're still figuring things out. Oh, I meant to snooze that. I'm sorry. It gave me the option to snooze and add, which I don't even know how those things work, so apologies if that's happening to you right now. But
this is actually part of a very large music venue. See, that console behind me is literally just like the back of house area. Like it goes way
back.
deeper, like a football field that way.
That's so funny.
I've got my entire vintage synth collection there, you know. So.
Yeah, this secret collection of vintage synths. It's actually that way, but
like if you've seen the Vintage Synth Museum, it's like take that times 10. That's what I got going on anyway.
Yeah, no big. So it's been difficult being away from the stream and away from all of you and hanging out. So I'm very happy to be back and to get to hang with somebody who is so comfortable with the Twitch life and that we can chat it up with. So
makes
I'm
it easy.
going to remember how to do this and going to open that Zoom.
Gonna open up that Zoom.
Let's see. Where are we?
Make a deal.
Oh my gosh, what just happened?
God.
Danielle is here. Welcome in. 17 months of subs. That means we've been doing this for 17 months, doesn't it?
That's pretty consistent.
Wow. This is, is this Command Center or the Battle Bridge? That's a tough call. It's sort of like both. It's like this is the Battle Bridge and this is the Command Center somehow.
I don't think we've really put a name to it yet.
Oh, I can stop this one, yeah?
We're still getting used to our digs.
Wait. I don't know.
I would call it the hot mess.
So this is new to me, Danielle, this thing where it tells you about the ads, because I normally didn't see that and didn't know how it was happening. So this is going to be interesting for me to try to figure out. It's all too technologically advanced for me. Oh, thanks, Obama's Weed Man. Yeah, I think the new layout is much more geared toward us playing live with each other versus playing live for the screen. So it's definitely something we have to still get used to how it's all going to work. But we're getting there. One step at a time has been our motto for the past month and a half. Since whenever we started this, I've lost track of how long it's been, but one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. It's the only way that I'm getting through this whole experience.
One small step at a time, one giant leap for the Galaxy Electric.
Yeah, and we're back. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to jump back into the Zoom. Thank you, Danielle. And we are going to grab our friend Mitchell from behind the scenes. Oh, Make Mistakes is here.
Make Mistakes. What's up?
Thank you for the resub. Thanks for being here. Okay, we're going to bring Mitchell into the room with us.
Nice to see ya.
Are you ready, Mitchell? He's ready. All right. Never know you're ready until you're having to do it. And all of the emotes are flying all over the place. But we figured out how to make sure they don't happen on your face. So.
Oh, I like it on my face sometimes.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'll take anything.
I feel like they all got stuck in the last scene and now they're happening again. But thank you all for being here. Thanks for hanging with us with our friend Mitchell Leonard, who
is very near and dear to our hearts due to the fact that we were all at Super Booth together. The amazing Super Booth 23.
Super Booth 23 will live on.
Will go down in the books as being one of the most epic times ever.
All right, super booth. Are you going? You're going to KnobCon, right?
That is the plan. We've never been before, have you?
No, I haven't. I wasn't. I had never gone to any of these things before Super Booth.
Oh my gosh. I want to make sure everybody let us know if the levels are good. Like, are we way louder than Mitchell? Is he way louder than us? Just let us know. We had never been to Super Booth, but we had been to NAMM. But before we get off to the races, I just want to make sure everybody knows that our guest command in the chat has all of your links. But I also love a good old classic shout out. If it'll let me.
Nice.
No, because you're not in the... Wait, how do I do this? Shout out. You have to be... He's a tad quiet. Are you able to turn yourself up at all? I'm turning you up. Yeah,
sure,
there we go. That's better.
I got more volume there.
I can tell that's better.
Far. Okay.
If you were watching the stream... thank you, Danielle. See, I don't know how to actually do real shout outs. I do the, like, poor man shout out where I'm, like, tagging you in the chat instead of a high-tech shout out like Danielle just gave you. So what I wanted to say is that Mitchell is joining us here, but he's also probably been streaming longer or more prolifically than we have on Twitch. So we can actually tag you here for your Twitch handle so the people who are on Twitch can follow you on Twitch.
Nice.
A lot of times
Nice.
it's, we're sending you to YouTube or Instagram, which you also have here listed here in our links. But it's always fun when we can tag a Twitch friend. So yeah. So we did meet Mitchell at Super Booth, which we didn't know we were going to meet you because we didn't know you. We didn't know who was going to be there. We didn't know who we were meeting. But we showed up to the Golden Shrimp Guild tent, and there you were. And then the rest is history, really.
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to KnobCon. I think it's going to be, I feel like it's a little bit smaller, like in scale than Super Booth. So maybe it's like more, I don't know, intimate's probably the wrong word, but it's more like you can see the same people in a couple days and kind of make some more connections that way. Because Super Booth was pretty big. Like it was my first time there, but there was a lot of space and a lot of vendors and exhibitors and stuff. So there's a lot to cover.
It felt cozy, but by the end of it, I was like, oh my God, I never went here. I never went there. I missed this performance. I didn't see this person.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But while I was there, I was like running around feeling like it was my high school or something. Like I felt very comfortable there, but at the same time, I like definitely missed out on a lot of stuff. So it makes you want to go back next year. You know what I mean? Plus it's Berlin, which is just like...
Yeah, that's a big draw for me too. Like I think I'll go... When I left, often when you go on vacation or you do anything exciting, you're like, I'm going to do this again. And then you kind of play it by ear. Like oftentimes you don't end up, it's just the residual excitement.
Yes.
That makes you say, like, I'm definitely
We
going to do
came
this
back
again.
and I was like planning like 6 other vacations like right away, which we did not do.
Right.
Because then I a couple days after I was like, oh, I'm actually tired.
I think I'm committed to going. Like I'm sure that I'm going to end up going to Berlin next year because I also like Berlin quite a bit. There's a lot of cool art to see there.
Yes.
I saw one exhibit there, like a light exhibit that was just mind blowing. So I think I'll use it kind of as an excuse to go back and visit and connect with some people and all that stuff. Yeah.
Sick. So I'm guessing you'd been there before?
Hey, SYNTH Lab.
Hey, SYNTH Lab. Welcome in.
What's up?
Had you been to Berlin before?
Long time ago, like 20 years ago for about a day and a half.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I didn't really get to do much or explore. I didn't get to just kind of run around. So I had some fun. I had the one fun adventure of when you travel of like your phone dying and like not knowing where anything is. And it's Berlin, so that's a pretty easy one. Like it's not like I'm in a place where no one speaks the language. You can fumble your way through a different conversation, but
people are nice.
That's one of the most like exciting, like sober adventures you can have is when you're in a foreign place and you're like, like I'm about to lose all connection with the whole rest of the world. I don't know where I am or how to get back to where I need to be. Let's go.
That's
like
a movie.
that's when the adventure starts, That's
wow.
It's definitely real life adventure there.
Holy cow. And you're based in Brooklyn, so you're not like unfamiliar with navigating through a city.
Yes, I am based in Brooklyn and I have really poor directional skills, whatever that's called. I can't imagine how people got around without. I mean, I was around in the time before Google Maps, but I wasn't really traversing these kind of cities before Google Maps, so I can't see how people did it, because the streets out here are so messed up. And
How long have you been in the BK?
About 13 years now, I think.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You can say you're like from there at that point. I feel like 10
I mean,
years,
I could.
they're like, I'm a New Yorker, I'm a Brooklyner. Like, after 10 years, they let you say it.
I think they let you. Yeah, I think you could. You could probably get away with it, yeah.
That's impressive, because it does, we lived there.
Oh, that's right.
Say, like a year and a half, maybe. Did I make it to 2 years? Barely.
You may have. I know
Barely.
I didn't. I was there a year, personally.
And had a lot of fun. But yeah, I feel like, the turnover is pretty high and pretty quick.
Yeah. There's definitely like I've noticed that if people are here for more than a couple years, they're usually here for about 10 years. And then once people hit about where I am, like 12 to 15, they really have to decide, like, am I going to be like an old salty New Yorker person, or am I going to GTFO and find some peace and quiet? Like, I have to figure that out. That's what often. So you guys were like, we need some peace and quiet.
Yeah, we were in out. It was also like, housing changes dictated things, and then COVID, all of that stew of stuff made it so that it like spit us right out.
It's so funny that you say that, though, because a friend of mine that was there about the amount of time that you've been there got out of Dodge and went to Connecticut into the peace and quiet. So you're right. Like, that is, I feel like, that breaking point.
You become like an artifact of the city, or you go to the country. And
I was surprised when this person left, because they had been there for so long, like in the same
apartment. But now we know the secret. It's the tipping point. It happens right around that time.
It feels that way, and I think now that I'm thinking about it, it's parallel to your age as well. Like, if you have been here for 15 years, then by definition you're 15 years older than the people that are just moving here. So it's also like how receptive you are to change, and if you've just had if you have like little kids, then that's a headache to navigate in a place like this, like depending on where you are with your career. So it's probably the two things interlaced: the amount of time you've been here, and then what age you are, as to whether you can still put up with like all the headaches. You can still put up with crazy people running at you from time to time, and things not working, and noise constantly, and all that stuff. So
yeah, the noise was definitely something that was on a much higher scale than I was really prepared for. Like, the not just like city street noise. It was like, I want to say like fireworks and things like that. Am I making that up?
Yeah.
There's like things that I
don't think you're making it up.
No, I don't think. I wasn't saying. Yeah, I was agreeing that is the thing. Not.
Yeah, like fireworks and things similar to that level of noise.
Wait, hold on a second though. Daniel Naruto, what sunscreen song?
I'm sorry. I like checked out on the chat. I'm sorry.
I need to know what the sunscreen song is that you're talking about.
Yeah, let's link to that. I want to know what that is.
Yeah. Let's figure out.
But it was like
what the sunscreen song is.
The 24/7 of that level of noise after a while can start to cause you become a different person. Like, I feel like I was like, I don't want to say that it made me mentally ill, but it was like borderline. Like, you become a different person. You have to have different skill sets to manage that lifestyle.
Yeah, you do. You have to be into it. To me, it's less lonely. I've lived in smaller cities before, and like, I don't have a lot of attachments in life. I don't have kids. I don't even have a pet. I don't have a plant, for crying out loud. So to me, like, just
no pets crew.
no pets crew. NPC. So to me, just hearing the sounds, and hearing even people screaming on the streets and all that kind of things, like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm connected with something. I don't feel like I'm as far away. And when I have to take the train somewhere, then like, you're forced in this can full of 40 different types of people, and even though they're not interacting, I feel strongly like it just makes me feel less like a lonely human, like, you know. So
Absolutely.
I really dig that part of it. But
yeah, I love that. Do you get to stay in your burrow most of the time? Do you have to
I stay in my
traverse?
house most of the time.
Okay, I was gonna
I'm
say
like,
that's a big part of it. Yeah.
yeah. I work from home, so like I have to.
Oh,
I
huge.
plan. I have to plan to leave once a day. Like once a day, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go out and do this because there was a stretch when I wasn't leaving. I was leaving the house like every third or fourth day,
Mm,
because I was
that's too
working on
long.
something really hard. Yeah, it's too long, and I started to disassociate. Like I would go outside and be like, I don't think any of these people are real. I don't
Yeah.
understand who I am. And I'm not, I mean, of course I understand in practice that they're real, but it's just a weird trick that my mind started playing on me where I was like, I just feel really disconnected from things, and it started to mess with me a little bit. So now I have to like make sure that I'm at least taking a walk to the bodega every day.
Yep. That happened to
You
me
know?
as well because I was working from home and he was going into Manhattan every day for work. So he would be gone for what felt like days because it takes that long to get there and back. And I would be like, oh, I haven't left the house in a week. I should at least go outside and like smell some air. But yeah, I would
Yeah.
go to like run an errand and I'd be like, feeling weird about myself.
Yeah, you had like,
It's like I'm being
shut-in
seen.
energy
Yeah.
when you were living there.
It felt weird to be seen.
I noticed.
Well, it's also
that.
that there's so many different and unique people that you don't know. Like I'm thinking about this now, and if I was to be a homebody in a smaller town, like when I went out, I would see people that kind of were just basic, boring people. Maybe they looked like me, and probably some of them knew me. And now when I go out, I know the people in my neighborhood pretty well, but now when I go out, there's just like different people from every walk of life. This is like a carnival, right?
Yeah.
So that and the fact that you don't know anybody sounds like it feels like the NPC knob is like turned up to 12 on a video game. Where they're just throwing people at you that aren't part of this Vice City, anyways.
Yeah.
You know, it feels
Right.
like they're all coming in from every NPC in every style of video game.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I feel so understood right now. Hey, Kid Pachoklo. Yes.
Hey, Kid Pete.
Here for the crossover. Love it. Before you get to
I guess it's this kind of crossover.
Oh, that's a good one, Danielle. I think that's a good quote. Live in New York and leave before you get too hard. Live in LA but leave before you get too soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you live in LA too long, which we did, you do get to a place where you can't tolerate anywhere else.
Why did you leave LA?
And then you want to move back.
Did you come to New York from LA?
Through DC.
Okay.
It was there was like a health emergency in the family.
Okay.
That they asked us to come support, and so we were like, all right, we'll do that and then we'll come back. But then we ended up like routing ourselves through all these other places. And
DC's cool. I like DC quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from, where I grew up. So
And we lived in Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
But we did play a lot as
played a lot
the Galaxy Electric
in
there.
DC.
That was like some of our first shows.
And what was your experience? I'm really curious about the kind of the cultural scene around that area, because I know it's a big transient population, and I know that there's a lot of hidden gems. But what was your experience about playing out there? Was it easy to find gigs? Was it tough? What were the rest of the people like?
Oh, I mean, it's been a while, so I don't know how it is now, because we lived there in the Obama years, which basically, whoever is president is going to dictate who lives there, because people come for to be part of the administration. So it definitely dictates the vibe. And I will say, like, the spookiest day I ever had was the day before the inauguration of the other person. And, like, the city cleared out, and it felt like I was in a video game, like a zombie video game. It was really weird.
Yeah.
But when we were there, it was like arts and culture being supported, and everyone thought like hopey changey, we're gonna make the world better, and there was like this feeling of like life is worth living and the future is worth investing in. So it was a different vibe, and we had a great time. It was a very like house show based scene.
Definitely a lot of house shows.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I dig that. Yeah.
It was great, and very like the DIY culture of like we put on our shows for ourselves, or it was like do it together, DIT or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was like everyone supporting each other and throwing shows together and supporting touring bands that come through. and not really as much about the type of music as it was more about like everybody being friends and wanting to support the idea of being creative, making art together.
Yeah, house shows are lit. Like that whole circuit is really, it's cool. I don't know if I can tell if it's gaining steam or losing steam, because I know there's like other companies now, like companies that are promoting that and doing that. So I guess it's got to be
So Far.
Some way,
Like, have you heard of So Far by any chance?
Yeah.
So we did a few of those.
So Far sounds.
Before we realized like what they were actually co-opting, we thought it was really cool.
Ooh, tell me more.
Because we got to play in like really beautiful spaces with like a built-in audience, you know, like that's super great.
Yeah.
And it was suggested to us by somebody else that was kind of like
sort of
helping us book some shows,
people,
so we didn't find it on our own. We probably wouldn't have played it. But
then you find out that they're like not paying people that work for them, and like it's supposed to be like for the love of the game, but they're making millions of dollars. So it was sort of like a facade. It was a facade of DIY, but it was actually like
hurting the scene a little bit.
It was like hurting the scene, but it was also like venture capitalists funded or whatever.
That's the whole music game. Is kind of like that.
Yeah,
you gotta pretend like it's the real. And then,
exactly. So
there was a seedy underbelly as it turned out.
But then we realized it wasn't actually for the best. But that doesn't slow down the true scene that was happening there. And I don't know now, because like those houses, like I don't think those people live in those houses anymore. So I don't know if they've relocated the scene to wherever they are now.
DC's pretty high turnover in general, I would say.
I would say now, like one of the people we had on was Patrick O'Brien.
The house shows.
And I'm sorry, talking over each other. The only thing I know about the DC scene now is that Patrick O'Brien is doing modular on the mall, which is sort of like modular on the spot, but on the DC mall.
Oh, nice.
So the modular scene seems to have some people and some things going on that I think is cool.
Yeah,
that wasn't happening when we were
a little
there.
Jealous of the modular scene, how it's going now. It seems pretty poppin', I would say.
Huh. Yeah, it seems like there's some of that happening out here too. I think that might be a kind of a nationwide.
I think it is.
Right now,
it's a wave
just
taking
picking
over.
up.
But I want to know more about, like, are you playing out at all, or just on Twitch for now?
No, I'm never going to play out again for the rest of my life.
Yes.
In real life. Why would I?
I totally get it. I totally get it.
I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm kind of well, I'm not really joking though. Like,
right.
First of all, I'm an older person now. Like, I'm into my 40s.
Could have fooled us.
I don't really drink. Like, it's not like I don't drink it. I'm not a sober person, but I don't drink nearly in the volume that I used to drink. So like the whole gig, and I toured for a long time in my 20s and almost into my 30s, like did tours every summer and got out there and played as much as I can. And it's like now at this point, if I go to a show, I get there 3 hours early, like there's really nothing to do. I can talk to people. I'm kind of nervous because I'm going to play. So I can talk to people for a few hours. I can sit through different bands, which might be good, which might not really hit me, who knows. Right. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to drink for 3 hours because I won't be able to play.
Yes.
So I'm just kind of sit here and I can't do anything else. So like, just the idea, God, I wish this was around, this format and the streaming thing was around 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because the idea that I can get prepped and like go chill and like be on my own and read or just relax and then get out in my PJs and play for the same amount of people, and those people don't have to commit to it. Like, and it's better for both sides, because if somebody's like, hey, if I say, hey, come check out my set, right? And someone's like, yeah, okay, where is it? Well, it's 30 minutes away. You take the train, whatever. Maybe the person wants to go out and have some beers and check it out. Maybe they don't, but there's a certain amount of pressure on that, right? Because they show up and they're like, well, I hope this is good because I came all the way out and all this stuff. And then if they don't show up, then maybe they couldn't make it because something else happened. But this way they can cook dinner and just check you out. They can play with their kids and just check you out. Like, they don't have to sacrifice anything or barely anything to see what you do. So there's no, I don't know, expectations is the wrong word, but there's no frustration on their point. If they're like, I wasn't really feeling that, but that's cool. It's just on, And then from my side too, like I don't give away 6 hours of my whole night, spend $75 and then wake up the next day feeling raggedy because I put back 7-8 beers over the course of 4 hours. I don't know. I can't see. And plus, like, what I deal with now, my rig is so big,
Yes.
and you can certainly identify with this, that there's just there's no way that I would take it anywhere. Like, I can't see how I would take a smaller version of it anywhere.
Just wouldn't be as fun to have to
Yeah.
figure that out.
I say that all the time.
Yay!
Like,
I was gonna say, are we gonna get the View?
we've gotten so used to having it all that it's really hard to convince myself that I wouldn't want to have it all available.
Yeah, and I've watched your streams so many times, and you really play around. Like, you have a good time and you explore. And if you're working with like a MIDI keyboard and a laptop, you're just limiting yourself. There's not only so much you'll be able to do.
Yeah, I do feel like it's like, oh, cool. Well, now let me come up with a rig and a set for playing out in public. Like, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
And then that takes you
says,
out of the momentum of what we're doing. Yes, you can't get groupies on
You
Twitch.
can't get groupies on Twitch. I don't
Says
know about
who?
that. I mean, yeah. I have people that I don't really know very well. I have people I don't know at all that I feel like, I don't know what the word groupie exactly means, but I feel like they're fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess in the purest sense of the word, of the 70s version of a groupie, which is someone who you would have physical interactions with.
Oh.
That maybe not, but hey, people are doing that stuff on the internet now too. So
if you go that far, that's funny that you said that, because I was just about to say, Kid P, I consider myself your groupie.
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say.
I'm a huge fan of Kid P.
Same.
But then I'm like, well, the physical thing, like, I think that would take time. We'd have to, figure out where everybody's at. But yeah, if
we
you're
need
talking
to have a
about
consent meeting about that person.
almost famous kind of groupie, then that's a little bit different for sure.
Yeah,
Would you guys play out? Like, so you were just you started to say something. I kind of interrupted you. Like, what?
No, who knows? We're both just in the we're hanging out, and so the conversation is just flowing. Sometimes we talk over each other.
Do you?
The answer is yes for me, I would say. But I would definitely, not have a great time trying to figure out what my backpack setup was going to be that I was going to compromise on to play. So that part wouldn't be fun, but I would still do it because there's this energy thing that I feel like I personally miss, which is just that interaction where you like actually feel, like other bodies in the room. And I feel like I would enjoy that, at least to some extent. If anything, I would like want to do it and get that contrast and then be like back on Twitch indefinitely.
Sure.
It's just been a while because it's hard to mentally think I'm never going to do that again when that was what I spent my entire childhood and young life dreaming I was going to do, and like being physically, and that was the only thing there was to dream to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole structure of it in my brain is like built up to a point where the idea of saying like, well, this kind of solves all that, so I'm not going to go out and do that anymore. I'm like still trying to get my brain to catch up to it.
Yeah. There is some of that, though. I mean, a lot of what you would do, you still do. I do get you know what? That's funny you said that about bodies in the room, because I'll bet if it happened, it's been so long since I've done it, but I'll bet if I did it, I would be like, oh, I should keep this in the rotation. If I got out there and did it, I'd probably think, I should do this every few weeks just to keep that experience going.
Right? It's about like the momentum of something. I really only enjoy something that I have like a system and a momentum around. Versus something I have to like, we gotta rip everything out of the studio for this one-off gig. Like, that is not fun to me.
No good that is. No, I know exactly what you mean. I talked to somebody somewhat recently that was liking what I did, and they were like, hey, can you play at our bar, basically? And I was like, we'd be talking hundreds of dollars. Look, you don't want to pay that money, and it just isn't going to work out, because just tearing all this down and getting it there is,
Especially
I don't know,
in Brooklyn.
2 hours and $100 in car fees. And
then when you come back from the gig, you're so exhausted, you're not immediately setting up again. Now you got 2 days maybe where you're like trying to reset.
Yeah, and you can't just groove yourself out. Like, a lot of the reason that I like what I do in this situation is it's ready to go.
Yes.
Like, I lifted the sample from 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, like the drum sample. And I just was thinking about it all night, and I got to work on it before work because it's all set up and ready to go. And what you said is true. You get home, you're like, well, fuck, I'm not doing that tonight. And then the next day you get up, you're like, well, I don't have time to set it for work. And then who knows how much time has passed, and you can't get to what you want to do. Totally.
And then
true,
it could be a couple of days before you get back to being able to set it up. Yeah. Oh man, that's really the times when we were gigging a lot. We were doing it like two times a week, something like that.
Yeah.
And we had a whole system to it. You know, we knew the first in, last out of the car load, you know.
Yeah, you get your routine down. Yeah.
And then we had like we had a separate space outside of our house where we kept all the stuff and rehearsed. So we had like this space to like kind of dump it and then reset up in that space. So it wasn't like part of our house. And so it felt like it was a really good system. But I even remember then being like, is this just the mental and emotional drain of like the adrenaline, just like the chemical experience, if we want to break it down to that point, of the adrenaline that you have from doing it and then the come down and then doing that all over again. It really takes a toll. Plus our backs. We've thrown our backs out like 4 or 5 times.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to factor that in as well. I've been watching a lot of Star Trek lately. I'm thinking like Spock probably wouldn't play out after enjoying Twitch for a while.
It's not logical.
It wouldn't make logical sense.
It wouldn't make logical sense. That's funny how we moved from like the kind of spiritual to just right into the physical and just actually getting the stuff around.
I know. Yeah. It's all jumbled for me because it really is a lot of like what I thought my life was going to be or what I thought I was trying to achieve. And then the way life has changed, the way COVID changed things, just all of it. And then finding this amazing community. Obviously the reason we know each other is because of the Golden Shrimp Guild. Not just being able to live stream, because we were doing that on other platforms and it was not that as fun.
Like we're still in the baby stages of Twitch, you know.
But
like,
but once we found
literally
community
didn't exist
on Twitch, it was like, oh, this is everything that I wanted touring to be.
Right.
And then some, like beyond. The thing that you were trying to gain from touring the same cities and the same bands over and over again was to have that community and that network built up where you just felt like it was like this family that you had, and you could just kind of plug yourself in as needed. And now it's like, oh, I'm signing up for Synthon from my computer.
Got my next festival planned out.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, plus I'm not going to Japan to see Ryota play. I'd never know that person existed. I know that person exists, and I know that I'm a fan of what they do. I'm a big fan of what they do because I found them through Twitch. So in reverse too, like there's so many people that you cannot reach when you tour that you can reach in this regard. So I think
that's such a good point.
If you had it in you, probably a hybrid, some kind of hybrid bond. But like you said, you'd have to have 2 sets of everything. Like how's that gonna work? But can I ask you a question though? Like what you said since you were a little kid, so what was your dream when you were a little kid, or what was your vision of what you wanted to be?
I wanted to be Mariah Carey. That was probably the easiest thing I can pinpoint from, like, I wanted to be a movie musical star and Mariah Carey. So like I think she ended up making a movie musical, so I think she lived that dream for me. But like the movie musicals of the like 50s or whatever was what I was really hooked into because I liked the combination of singing, dancing, storytelling, all of that mixed together. But then just the idea of singing something you wrote. Yeah. That took me to the next level of like, I'm not just going to sing somebody else's words and like put on a song and dance. I can write something of my own. And then that creative process of mixing the composition with the lyrics and the melody, and then like the sound, choosing the sounds, like all of that was just like, oh man, this is like a whole new world.
It comes through in your music. You can tell. Like, I was listening to your music earlier today, and like I said, it was just on random. I was just going through your catalog, and for no reason that I could pinpoint other than it just triggered things in my brain. When I sat down and was setting up, I was thinking of that, be my little baby. Like that song ran through my head, and I know it was I know it was those triggers were going off because there were elements of that style of music in the vocals that I was hearing in your music.
There's secret subliminal messages. Watch out.
Good. Yeah, and I was also eating coconut, and I was like, why? But I'm suddenly eating coconut, so I guess that was one of the subliminal messages.
Must have been. Oops, he's figured us out.
Right? I threw all my shoes off the balcony. I don't know what happened.
Ooh, we could do like a Mounds Almond Joy commercial.
Possibly. Sunscreen.
Oh my god.
Or sunscreen. Yeah, there you go.
So wait, so follow-up question. So what do you...
I want to ask you the questions, Mitchell.
We'll get there in a second. But so how do you feel about what you're doing now, like relative to what you thought, or what your like little kid visions were? Are you pretty?
This is all
happy
just
with,
me.
like...
You have your own answers to this, but I love where we're at, where I'm at, where we're at, because I never could have imagined this, and I just followed my like heart all the way here.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was just telling you this the other day. When I was in college, I was studying musical theater, and I had, a vocal coach who I would meet with every week, and we would do all the songs I'm supposed to do for the competitions or whatever, or for rehearsals of shows. And he was super intense. It was very disciplined and very rigid.
I remember that guy.
He was not nice. He was very, very hard on me. But I liked that because that was the environment I was in. And I didn't trust people that weren't hard on me. But there was a day where he found out I had been writing music, and I had like built this like hybrid like minor that I was doing with this composer on campus who was like helping me do like an independent study in composition. And he had me play one of my songs for him in my voice lesson. And he like stopped me and he was like, do this. After being, like 3 years of like rigorous vocal training to be like a professional like opera singer or whatever I was going to be, he was like, no, do that. Because he could tell that I was like myself. I was like bringing my true self to it. And that was the one thing he was hardest on me about, was like, I feel like you always do everything perfect, but I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Because I knew how to like be
sense.
the thing I was supposed to be.
Shit,
for the part or whatever. But
I spent so much time
it was intense.
trying to do different things. Like, first of all, I grew up in a small town, so there was only rock music, and I really couldn't follow what I wanted to do, which was electronic music, because there were no avenues to play it live. There were DJs when the rave scene kicked off. There were DJs that were DJing like warehouse parties, but there's nobody making the music, like nobody was producing that in this town I was in. So I went to rock, and then I spent some of my time trying to write music specifically for sync, like trying to get sync licenses off of stuff and writing stuff. Not that I particularly was compelled by, just like, I want to write something that's going to sell. And that's one of the lessons that it took me like a few times to learn, is you really have to do what you want to do and what makes you happy, because the odds that you're really going to profit off it are so incredibly low that at the end of the day, you want to have something there that you are moved by. You want to be like, I created this and it's an expression of me. And sometimes it takes a while. Like, I don't know if you can even get there before you're 25, 26 years old.
So true.
Like, really, I don't know if you even know who you are at that point. But yeah,
you
myself
think you
and a lot of people that I know. Yeah, of course you do. You think you know who you are at like 13. But I know a lot of people like this too, that are kind of just finding their footing and are saying, man, I wish I would have played the music I wanted to play all along, because then I would have, I would have a body of work that I was more in sync with, rather than I have a lot of music that I've done, but this I don't really care about, and this wasn't well done. And you meet a lot of people that are like that. They kind of discount a lot of stuff they do, because they don't, they want to make it work, or they want to achieve a level of success that they think only comes by severe compromise.
Right.
So,
oof.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Cha-cha.
Dang. Well, I do think that the reason why we felt so quickly plugged in with this Twitch Golden Shrimp Guild community is probably because that's at the heart of what we feel from everyone that we've met and watch and connected with, is that there is no genre to what we're all doing. Some people do stick in a lane, but as a community, there isn't a genre or style. The heart of it is that we're all doing what makes us happy, and we happen to be mostly doing stuff with things you can press, buttons.
Wow, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that for me, I feel like I'm constantly like testing that out, like being like, are people not gonna like chat us off the screen if I throw this at people, like
sonically, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm always amazed at the degree at which people seem accepting, despite the all over the place doing whatever I feel that comes to my mind. So that's just a really comforting thing to experience. I definitely didn't. I will say that playing physically live, like, it's harder to feel connected to that feeling of acceptance for what you're doing.
Yeah, and when it's also tough because physically live, you can see people kind of turning their backs, literally, or
talking.
Imagine if you handed out physical emotes for people to throw at you while you were playing live.
You just hand them out ahead of time. Like when you feel like it, throw out these lulls.
Please let me know you like this, and I'll know what you mean by.
We've played a lot of bars where it's not customary to pay attention to the band at all.
Yeah, that was so many, not so many, but 5, 6, 7 years of my life were like hit or miss. Like where you go to places and you'd show up and they're like, you're set up there, and you're like, that's a corner. Like, am I playing? There's 4 of us. How the fuck are we gonna fit in that corner? Are you sure
you wanted bands to play?
Are you sure you wanted bands? It seems like this was somebody's good idea.
Somebody on staff thought it would be fun to have live music.
One of my favorite things I saw recently was, I don't know, not a meme necessarily, but some kind of post somewhere that said, there was a response to people that say like, hey, come play my bar. I can't pay you anything, but it'll be great exposure. And the response was, yeah, that's cool. And then afterwards, you can come cater my party, bring us free beer and wings. We're not going to pay for them, but I'm sure it will turn people onto your bar. And I was like, oh, it's so beautiful, because I grew up with so much of that BS of like, yeah, but you want to keep playing out for exposure. It's like, yo, this is not exposure. This is just free things for your patrons to ignore.
Oh my God.
While they're trying, can we turn the TV off? Oh God, it's so frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, they're like, hey, why don't we go to the patio? This band's loud.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there were so many bars in LA when we lived there that were pay to play. We didn't get sucked into that so much, but our friends were telling us about it. There was just a lot of them that we went to, and we were like, so, like, how did this work out? And they're like, oh, well, I had to pay $150, plus a deposit to.
And was anybody there?
Try and sell tickets.
To play here tonight. And I was like, well, how'd you do? And they're like, well, I didn't break even, but at least I got some exposure out of it. And I'm like,
did you though?
But that's also like I don't think there are any A&R people anymore, right? I mean, A&R people. Well, I'm sorry. I don't think there are any A&R people that go anywhere. I don't think that's a thing.
They don't
there used
go.
To be.
Yeah, it used to be that you had to play out because you imagined the crowd was going to be filled with like industry people scouting you or whatever in LA.
Yeah, at the whiskey or wherever you're playing.
You're paying for the built-in crowd, that this bar, says we can get this
strip,
just by being us.
When we lived there, that strip, where whiskey is and everything,
was
all pay to play.
Yeah.
Because it was like, but you're getting the built-in crowd, and you'd go and you'd be like, the bill would be like, the bands are all over the place in style or level, because it's all pay to play, and like nobody's there anyway. Yeah, that's depressing.
Yeah. And now it's kind of, hey, Booze, good to see you, man. Booze. Now, now it's kind of like, I don't know anything about anything, but I listen to podcasts and keep up with things as best as I can. And now it's kind of like A&R people are like, well, who's already has 1 million streams?
Yes.
Like, who's already viral? They don't have to go anywhere to find anybody.
Exactly.
They're just cherry picking.
We're doing the work for them.
They just look around on the phone, and their phone will be like, oh, this song is trending, so let's talk to that artist now.
It's just a bidding war. I would assume at that point, everybody's bidding for the same artists, that are so successful apparently.
Well, because it's easy to prove, I guess, if your song goes viral or has a certain amount of streams. Like, all the data is there to see. Evan Izzy, welcome in, friends.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a have you cracked this already? And then I don't know, but like the popular wisdom that I'm picking up now is it's not even worth, like, if you're already at the point where you're being approached for any kind of whatever a record deal means now. If you're already at that point where you're like, you're moving enough to be in that category, don't fuck with the deal. Like, it's only going to hurt you. If you're already doing that, then there's no point in it's only going to limit you in what you can do. That's kind of what the popular wisdom is now.
If what you've done already works, why would you sign your stuff over to somebody else to do a different version of things for you in their machine that may or may not work?
Yeah, it's like, well, I busted my ass to get here. Now, why don't you take it?
Yeah, that's true, Daniel. I don't know if
position.
I don't know if it's even a position anymore. That makes sense that it's not.
Wow,
that would make sense. There's no point in paying for that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What a world. We're living in the changing times every couple of years. I feel like our whole just experience so far has been like, oh, it's like this now. Oh, it's like this now. Oh, it's like this now. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. You know, one of the things though I think that hasn't changed and that is kind of illusion, and I might be talking out of school here, I don't know, but I feel like back in I don't know, let's say 30 years ago, you had to have money or connections. There are exceptions to that. You could jump off. There are right place, right time people. There were, and there are people like I don't know, like who's Ani DeFranco or like Dave Matthews that just went out, or like Goldfinger that went out and just played and played and played and played and played, and they got such a following from that. Like, no, that's a long time ago. That's 30 years ago now. But on the whole, you kind of had to know somebody, or you had to have money to really get jumped off. Otherwise, your odds were really low. And now everybody's like, well, it's kind of the Wild West, and you can go viral on TikTok, or you can, whatever, get your song placed here and there. You don't have to know anybody or have money. I feel like that has not changed at all. You still have to know someone, or you have to have money to beat those overwhelming odds. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
You have to have the money to pay people to promote your shit.
Yeah.
To pay to get ads on YouTube, to pay to get ads on TikTok. You have to have money to invest in it. I mean, a serious amount of money. Or you still have to know somebody. You still can go viral. You can still pull a Old Town Road or whatever, and things can still jump off because your song ends up in the right place. But I don't feel like the odds have really shifted, even though the landscape has, for most artists. And one of the reasons that I say that is I think it's really important for people to understand, especially younger artists, that you need to find what am I trying to say? You need to find your measure of success in small steps as you go. Is you can't be shooting for the you can't be shooting for the bullseye, or you're going to get burned out. You're going to get disappointed. You're going to be like, why them and not me? Because you're working really hard. So I think that's kind of a myth that's still perpetuated, is like, if you work hard and your music's good enough, then you'll do this. And no, you probably won't. What you need to do is look at it in terms of, if I work hard and my music's good enough, I will continue to reach more and more people, and I will have an impact on some people out there. It might be 10 people this year. It might be 75 people next year. It might be 200 people the year after that. But that amount of growth is something that I'm happy about, and that is success, because I am still continuing to reach people, and I am, I'm growing my music and my following.
It's your relationships that you're building with people who want to be part of what you're doing, versus trying to build relationships with people in some industry to try to do something for you, where you're now separated from your own audience and don't even know who those people might be.
Yeah.
That's what I think is good about it.
Virality has to be repeatable, and I think sustainable. Like, for it to even matter. You might get like a one-off song or something like that, but I think if you
have to be able to do something with it.
The first thing, a record label, for example, that, like, let's say they sign you out of some viral video you do, the first thing that we're going to want you to do is repeat that. And then obviously sustain that over period of,
you would still need
the
to
length
have
of your contract.
Those 10, 75, 200 people that you've built a relationship with.
And you'd have to somehow prove that to them. And I think without the money, and money does that, you know, to your point about money, or, you know, like you said, knowing somebody who has your back. Like, that's really, it's going to have to be there, you know, for either of those scenarios to work.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in chat. Sorry, guys.
That's cool. I'm really glad that your friend got seen by Ani DeFranco. That sounds legit. Like, that's super cool. And also, Izzy, I think you're right. I think the execs were willing to try out things more back then. I think that now, like we said, they're just waiting for things to kind of get handed to them in a fashion that it's already kind of been proven. They're not trying to. It's not like back then where it was like 40-year-olds telling 20-year-olds what's cool as much.
Well,
but what
it's
you
that
said,
thing about money too, because the industry back then, whenever we want to call it back then, was just burning money on seeing what of these 20 bands is going to have the next radio hit.
Most people got shelved, and
they would spend money to like shelve you so that the other band that they have signed could make it. You know, it's just all of that kind of stuff. But now they don't have that kind of money to play with.
I had a friend that happened to. They got shelved in, I guess, the early aughts, the late 90s. It was devastating. And they were a really, really talented band. There's a brother and sister that fronted the band.
They always are.
And they lost their catalog.
Yeah, exactly.
They like, I don't know, 15 or 20 songs gone. They can't, they can play them for people, but they can never release them under another label. Like, that was just all put on pause.
Oof.
But what you said was true too about virality, is that it's not like, I think when kind of TikTok not started out, but when it really jumped off a few years ago, you could get an influencer to use your song and that would give you like a boost, like a temporary boost. But now you have to like get your song in a trend and get a bunch of different people to use it. You have to get 10,000 people to use it on CapCut or something in order to get it.
But
those little spikes aren't going to do much for you, because that virality you're spoken. Yeah, it's just temporary. Like your song will go, unless you have a really strong catalog and people are drawn into it, then it won't matter.
But even like the things like in the last couple years, let's say, in the 2020s that we're living in now, things that have gotten big, they've used the mirage of the TikTok viral organic moment, but they have millions of dollars behind that person already. So they have somebody they already think they can bet on. Then they use the machine of organic virality to make it seem like you've just discovered them and they just became, but they already were going to be put out. They're just using that as the way to release things.
It's more of a party trick.
It's just
the money's the real thing.
Because there's no radio station or MTV to release somebody on. They're using the social media virality.
What happens on MTV nowadays? I haven't had
MTV.
Does that even exist?
There's an MTV.
It's got to be, right? It wouldn't just go off the air. Like,
I think it's reality shows.
It's all reality shows.
Yeah, there's no like artists breaking. Stay tuned for the new music video from this band, or making of the band, or any of that kind of stuff going on anymore.
Yeah.
Trends are just a form of addiction. Wow, F and Izzy, you got me there. Road rules, J plus J plus J. Straight to my heart. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a crazy landscape for sure. It's interesting to think about. I mean, the most fascinating thing is that we can't imagine what it's going to be like in 20 years.
I know. I couldn't have guessed we would be here 5 years ago, so.
Do you know Boomy? You know the site Boomy?
No, what's that?
Boomy is where you go and you make, you pay and you make a song. They're just like, okay, choose. There's 20 different fields and you can pick. I don't know. They're like sliders, and you can move the slider into different things, and with those fields and with whatever you pick, in 5 minutes you just created a original song that you can release.
Whoa.
Based on just parameters that you select. Like, I want it to be like this, and I want it to feel like this. So it's a bunch of presets that you kind of stick
like
together.
AI.
Yeah, and they're charging people. For it.
Wow.
It's crazy. I mean, your brain goes to a lot of different places, because it's like, it's technically your original song, because no one has inputted those particular binary decisions in that order before. It's like shuffling a deck of cards. But a lot of artists, a lot of like a crabby poopy pants artist would be like, well, it's not really a song, they didn't write it, the music's cool. but we can't figure out, like, we just have no idea where things are going to be in 20 years, like what's going to be manufactured, what's real. And the biggest question is, like, if there was a song that you loved, that you heard, and you learned that there was no human component to it whatsoever, it was just completely artificially generated, would that change your view of the song? Would you like it any less? So now you both have to answer that question.
That is so hard because it's something I think about a lot. Do I
like great. Well, then you should have an answer.
Yeah. Well, it's something I question a lot. Like, do I like something because I like it? Do I like it because it was associated with something the way I discovered it? Do I like it because I was told in some subliminal way to like it? Or because I think it was made by, like, a lot of times I like something because it's authentic, or it's someone's story, or I found it in an authentic way, or it's somebody I know, or you know what I mean? Or you think that you had some personal connection with how you discovered it or why you like it. Would I be mad? See, this is the question is, would I be mad if I found out after, right? Like, if I like something and then find out later that it wasn't any human element, would I then feel like betrayed?
Would you feel fucked with?
Or I think I would naturally feel betrayed and want to reject my liking of it. But then there's a part of me that thinks, like, if I hear something and it grabs me and I like it, then I'm going to be curious about it. And the experience of discovering what went into it is part of why I like something. Like, who's behind it, and reading their bio, and like watching their videos and learning more about what they do to make it. Like, that's part of why I like stuff. Because there's something to, like, get into.
Yeah. What about you? Would you, if you found out that one of your favorite songs is completely artificially generated, would you?
I don't think that would change my opinion of the song, per se. But, like, I do have a hard time. Here's where it comes. For me, I'd have a hard time believing that would happen in the first place.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
I know, and I have a hard time believing that now. The me of now has a hard time believing that, and I'm not. But that's if it was served to me and it was hey, we got the documentation. This thing is a robot generated song. We can prove it to you. I don't think that would change I don't think I would then go back and be like, I don't actually like that anymore. Like, I feel like I would still like it. Like, I wouldn't. Go back on liking something.
Now you're going to answer this, right, Mitchell?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot recently. I feel like there's what am I trying to say? I'm struggling as I think about it more to determine what makes us different than machines, in that we react a certain ways. A lot of our decisions are kind of like a reaction, and you can reduce everything to kind of decisions based on a combination of what our experiences are so far and our genes, and those two things together. You can say every decision you make is a result of your genes and your experience. Okay, you could say that. It's not too crazy to say that. So if you follow that train of thought, then whatever happens, like if a bird flies into this window in front of me right now, I'm always going to react the same way. There's no choice for me to make any other reaction than the same way I react, based on all the factors that have made me who I am today. I can't step outside that track. I'm always going to have the same reaction to any set of circumstances. Okay. So if you break it down that way, then you can argue there's not really a big difference between an algorithm writing something and me writing something, because it's not like there was any choice in it. And what I believe and what I feel is soul is just my reaction to the programming that's in me spitting out something else. So my short answer is yes. I hate to say it, but I would feel strange and betrayed. I don't know why. I would be like, oh man, I don't know. But the more I think about it, and the more I'm seeing what's happening with machines becoming what they are, the less like kind of upset I get about it. The less I think it will upset me, because I'm kind of getting this gradual acceptance that it's perhaps, I don't want to go too far out there, but
no, go.
The perhaps that this is where we're going to be. Like, we're going to create the next us. Like, we're not it.
Yeah.
Like, we're probably not it. It's not going to be us for 1,000 years, that's for sure. So we're here to create the next entity that comes after us. And maybe it's a combination of us and something else. Maybe it's not. Maybe we're here to create whatever comes next. And we can't tell that if those things that are just a complex series of switches won't end up feeling something that is just a reaction to the way the switches are switched. So I think I would be upset, but the more I think about it, the more I kind of absorb what's happening, I would accept it. I would accept it, and it wouldn't keep me from listening to the song, and it wouldn't keep me from enjoying it. But initially my human side would be like, oh man, I wish someone would have written that. Someone that looks like me, someone that is a human would have written that.
Yeah, it makes me think about, that was super deep. I feel like we could go super sci-fi with that. But I did want to just say that it keeps making me think. It's one thing to go, oh, I liked that song. Now I feel kind of tricked, but I still like that song. Versus, I love this song. I love this artist. I want to be part of supporting this artist's journey. Like that's the thing I keep getting stuck on. Is like, if I find out that a robot made this, well, now I don't have somebody to like connect with.
How far along are we on our fan journey? Is sort of what you're saying. Point. Yeah, like that would actually be a factor. I think that I was thinking like, you know, like you're at the mall and somebody makes you listen to a song on some headphones.
When 1983 called.
Yeah, 1983 called. And I'm put on the spot, you know, like, hey, like, do you like this song or not? If I had no connection to the artist and my answer was yes, you know, I like the song, I don't think I would go back on liking the song if they were like, a robot created it. A robot made this, yeah. Yeah, that's sort of what I was, that's the scenario I was imagining when I answered the question. So like that has a lot to do with where I am at in the fan journey, you know, as far as like how I would answer that question.
Yeah, it's true. And what if it wasn't a robot, but it was just a guy that pressed a button that didn't really, I mean, I guess it's the same thing really. And then what if that guy was kind of a dick? Yeah. Like what if you learned about that guy and you're like, oh, that guy's kind of a tool, and he just said he did it to make money, and he's out there talking shit. And then I mean, that plays a role. Yeah. You button pushed and made this song, and I really love it. That makes me sad now.
Yeah, that just happens more and more these days. So maybe we should let the robots make the music, so we don't have to kill our idols. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. Well, we don't really have much of a choice. That ball is it's rolling down the hill so fast. There's nobody that can stop that. I mean,
it's exponentially beyond us.
Yeah, I mean, there's 85-year-old people in Congress right now that are meeting about it, and they have no fucking idea what's going on. So they're like the least qualified people in the world to try and address this problem, and that's who we have trying to stop that rock from crushing us.
That's the scariest part of it, I think, is people who like could give a fuck, who don't have to give a fuck because they know they're gonna like continue to be in that seat for 100 years.
Yeah.
Or are being paid to give a certain kind of fuck about it, vote a certain way. Don't understand it at all, clearly. Don't care. Yeah, it's just like, oh, we could have such robust debates and interesting, innovative conversations about what we're doing, but instead it's not happening that way.
Yeah, we're
this got dark. Okay, let's lift it back up.
Okay, let's go back.
What did I miss? Yeah, I think we have a lot of strong feelings about this because we feel like it's happening to us right now. Like, we didn't get a say in it, and it's just happening, and we're all like trying to figure out what we think about it or how it's going to evolve. As a child of Tron, I'm much more comfortable with the idea of new artificial voice as opposed to copying an existing or deceased voice. Ooh. I love bringing up Tron. That's a great point of reference. My computer can beat me on chess, but not on boxing. Yet. Amazing.
It is a rather dark train of thought to get started on, where we've ventured here.
Oh, Booze is saying
it's dark?
This already happened.
Yeah, I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like...
It makes me feel sad.
I'm already imagining, like, you know, how there's, like, these AI EQs, you know, and DAWs now, where, like, it could probably do a better job EQing your track than you can.
Yeah, it's like I went to school for 6 years.
And now it doesn't matter.
To study the right way to turn this knob. Now the AI is telling me how to do it. Dark. And it's better than mine.
What's going to happen is I spend an hour a day just practicing. Like not writing, just practicing. Like trying to play things technically. Not really even doing that thing. And what I'm guessing is 10, 15 years, you can just have a soft. You can just plug in a soft and you can play just as well as I did. And spend 0 hours practicing. I mean, it's likely that something like that will be around in a certain amount of time.
Dang.
So the question is, like, how upset do you want to get about it?
Right. Yeah. That's
sort of something where you're like, hey, I'm glad that everybody can do this now because I've enjoyed it for so long. I'm glad you get to enjoy it too. Or do you want to be that person? And this is how you define yourself and what you should probably get sorted out so you're not miserable. Or do you want to be the kind of person that's like, that's ridiculous and that person's not a real thing. No, they're real. It's just as real as you are. Somebody that puts together a song out of pieces of other people's songs, it's still a song. You know what I'm saying? They still
That's
put
the
that
original debate, right? Sampling music and DJing, is that real music? Is electronic music real music? I mean, that was the original debate before the AI debate.
They've been talking about that for 40, 50 years now. Yeah. That was, I remember when Human League came out. I was a little tiny kid, and people were like, and I remember like the guy from Human League, although I saw this later, I was too young to understand it at the time, but the guy was like, said something ridiculous, like guitars will not be around in 10 years and it will all be this. And he made all these statements that were like, oh, well, that's truly didn't end up being the case. But it was just a new phase of people saying this generation's music is garbage. And that's been happening for, 100 years faster than it did before that. So that's just something you have to expect.
That's so true. It reminds me of something that when we had Actatech on, he got me feeling better about things because he said it's just going to make us more aware of our humanness. The more AI and more robotic, it'll make us, it'll be such a contrast, it'll make us more human. And that made me feel better. And I think that's kind of what you're saying is there was this thing of like, electronic, well, even back in the 50s, electronic music is going to replace all musicians, and then what will we do? And it's like, actually it made people want to be more into those things.
I remember him saying that. I actually remember that,
wow,
that part
that's
of the conversation where he's like, the
that
drum
really
machine
stuck with me.
It was supposed to, like, drum machine didn't replace drummers, and that's what everybody said. So
it's all the fear mongering.
And also like you gotta let go and just be okay with whatever happens. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to just kind of dive in wherever the future takes us, hopefully. And plus the flip side is like now I can do things because of those advancements in technology. I can do things I couldn't strip vocals out of a song in 30 seconds, and I love doing that. There are a few things right now that make me happier, because this is the place of my music that I'm in, than taking a vocal lick that I was in love with 10 years ago and writing my own music under it and playing it in front of other people. Holy God, so much. That is just my favorite thing to do, is be like, I always like this song and I'm going to do my own, I'm going to remix it on the fly, live in front of a bunch of people. And it makes me so happy. I couldn't have done that without any of these tools. There's no way I could have done that in 30 seconds. So there's a trade-off that it brings us as well. Yeah.
Exactly. I was going to say that's the balance.
That's still very creative, what you just described in my book.
Like you still need the human input of the idea.
The idea of taking that vocal and then remixing it, putting your own flavor underneath it, that's a very cool creative songwriting process, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm very into it now. I'm very into, like, I was writing some music for a while. Now I'm like, I just want to steal other people's music and write music around it.
That's really interesting. Are you let's get back to business here. I want to know about like what you mentioned that you spend an hour a day just playing technically, right?
Somewhat. I'd like to think it's an hour a day. Let's say 5 hours a week. That's probably more accurate.
We'll give it to you.
Thanks.
And then how often are you streaming your on Twitch?
Right now, I'm only streaming once a week because I'm working on an album. Or I guess
You're
technically
answering my follow-up question.
It's an EP. It's only about 20 minutes, about 5 songs. But I'm working on that. I work a day job that's not connected, so I only have about 2 hours a day to work on music, maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So I'm really trying to get that. I haven't had a release in a couple years now. And a lot of the stuff that I'm doing on stream is just legwork for those releases. It's like free rehearsal and idea building time. You guys must have some of that. Like you get to experiment with cool stuff, and then you listen back, you're like, that's actually good. We should make that into a song. And can I just say, oh my gosh, I wish more people in the streaming community would do that. I know I say this a lot, but like, there's a lot of people I'm fans of in the Twitch streamers that don't put out releases. And I'm like, man, you have so much good stuff that I hear every week. I just wish you would put something on some platform you hate, like Spotify, so I could listen to it when I'm on a bike ride over and over again. I mean, I can listen to Bandcamp and all that stuff too, but I wish I could put it in playlists and like prep it and rep it out there and put it out into the world. But so many streamers I know are like, I don't really like to release music. I just like to stream it. I'm like, oh man, I wish you would just do like 4 or 5 songs a year because I would listen to them. You know, like I want to hear like your best work really fleshed out. You know, I'm always on people to do that.
Yeah, that's something that I usually like to ask people because I'm always so curious about. These are my leading questions to you that you're softballing back to me, but that idea of like, what are you doing on stream versus what are you doing to release, or what are you doing just for yourself, and like how do you balance all that? So it sounds like you've got a good system going.
I got to work that just like first in, first out of the car. I finally have a pretty good process for it. Yeah, I know Bandcamp, not Spotify. I like Spotify personally. I think the major problem with Spotify still goes back to the labels, but anyways, well, that's a different conversation.
That could be a whole other stream.
That's a whole other stream. So I stream to kind of get ideas and to work ideas out and to get things past, you know, things started down the track. Then I publish YouTube videos about once every 6 weeks, they're not really mixed or mastered, but they're the best of the last 6 weeks of streams.
Nice.
And they're all like, they're not actually the stream, they're replicated. Like I sit down and play it, and I play it 7 times and take the best take and all that stuff. It's not like a portion of my stream that's actually in the video. It's me just replaying it because I want it to be as good as it can be. You know,
so
you
do
don't want
your
any chat or anything like that.
Then about every 6 weeks, you'll take the streams you've done, find the stuff that's songs from that, and then flesh those out more and then re-record them. Yeah,
and then I go to YouTube, and then my goal is once I'm done with this EP, I don't want to stop. I want to continue to keep that in the wheelhouse, and let's call it Bandcamp, YouTube, Twitch. So I want to keep working on music, so I'm doing releases every couple months so I don't have any big gaps anymore.
It's that momentum feeling. I totally get that.
So we would say Twitch is like your workshop, YouTube is like the interim, like here's something that's on its way, and then Bandcamp would be like, okay, this is a final mixed, mastered, invested the money, pouring over every detail of the mix till the last minute kind of thing.
Until you have to just say it's done. That's always the
until you just give up. You just give up.
You're like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Hopefully you're working with somebody and they're like, I'm going to fucking bed. They're like, we're done tomorrow. I'm not mixing this thing for you again. You know, like hopefully you have somebody, because I need somebody like that in my production.
Yes.
I say production team, but it's just friends of mine, really. I need somebody that's like, you're insane. No one is going to notice a half dB. Stop going back and forth. It's done. That's what I need.
Oh my gosh.
What do we see? What am I seeing here? Like who's who in that relationship?
This is too real. This is just too real, because that's like what we do for each other as well. Because like we'll each have like our aspect of it that we're doing that, you know.
I think you were insinuating
who's in what role though? Who's in?
He's the mixing engineer.
You were insinuating that you're that for me.
But it can be. It's really hard to be like. He's the producer and the songwriter and the mixing engineer, and a lot of times I'm like, give it to someone else to do because you're driving yourself and then me crazy.
I feel like a crack addict.
But it's like everything you said is like stuff we've said. We've had those conversations.
Like I'm like addicted to like I just get in this phase where I'm like no one more, and like I could fix that a little better. I could EQ that better. You know, like I just can't.
And you can destroy a mix that way. Yes. I can at least. Like holy shit! Just save your shit. My rules are like save your shit and don't work past about 9 p.m. Because I've noticed that when I start to work late into the night, I'll wake up the next day and be like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, why did I make all these changes? Like, what a waste of time. So start fresh, take breaks, like make sure that you're coming in a good state of mind, because I will rip apart a mix that's already doing well if I'm not careful.
Yeah, I'll tell him this one's really good, and then he'll do another one, and I'm like, that one's really good, and then he does another one, and I'm like, nope, it's not good anymore. Go back, and he's like, that's too far gone.
What are we doing? We had it. I like.
You start
to
lose. Yeah, you do. You got to learn to walk away, Effortless. It's so true. But you you do need someone outside of yourself to tell you that. It's like you need that permission given
absolutely.
to you.
And like where somebody put in one of the Discords, like, is there a place where we can give criticism and critiques? And I'm so looking forward to that, because I feel like that is something that we can do for each other as a community that we're not really doing right now. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Is we're really good with like support, and we're really good with showing up and staying together, but we're not doing. I don't see a lot of solicited critique. And I'm not talking about jumping on somebody's stream and be like, you're just too loud. I'm talking about when somebody's like, hey, I'm doing this thing.
We get plenty of that.
Yeah, give me feedback on that, because I really like doing that. And I'm not being a jerk or tearing people down, but I like getting in there and being like that second set of ears. Like, have you tried this?
Oh my gosh.
Especially like, I'm always writing people after their streams and be like, hey, great job. This is what I liked. Because it's a really good way to, it's a good way to give critique, is instead of saying like, don't do this, be like, pick the thing that you really like and be like, hey, yo, this passage was fucking fire. Work on that. So I really hope that
that's amazing that
in
you
the streaming
do that.
community. Yeah, I spend a lot of time I do it. Sometimes I do it like as a point of like purpose. Like I get up in the morning and before I have to go to work, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to spend 10 minutes surfing through the Discords and listening to people's stuff, and finding stuff I like and throwing some support out there. And I think that's something everybody should do as part of their regular routine. But
well,
I'm excited.
I love that you said this, because it's sort of I don't know if you know what big magic is, but it's this idea that ideas are like things that live in like the ether, and like if you don't take that idea and do it, like somebody else it'll end up in their ether or whatever. So I feel like this is one of those things that one of the streams we were going to do, because we obviously we do this, which we call SYNTH Friends, where we do this weekly, and then we have our sci-fi movie night that we do every Saturday, so that's weekly. And then we were doing 1 to 2 like live music streams a week. Another one that we wanted to do was, we have a Facebook group that every Friday people post their own music in this one thread. And it's like become a thing. It's like one of our favorite things that came out of that group that we started. This is in the ancient days when we were on Facebook, which we're still kind of there just because that group is still there. And it's like one of the coolest things, because it's the weirdest music that won't fit on like a Spotify playlist, right? So it's like all of us are there because we all love the weirdness, and then most of us make music too. So there's this post every Friday with everybody's new or whatever they want to. It doesn't have to be new, but a lot of times it's new music.
Whatever they're repping.
And back in the day, we were doing a monthly podcast that we recorded out before we knew about Twitch. And we would include like 1 or 2 of those tracks to like feature stuff that went with that episode. I miss doing that. And I really miss it. And from that, we were going to do a weekly stream where we just like listened through everybody's tracks and like gave feedback.
Like a listening party.
So I think you should do that.
Maybe.
I wasn't expecting that.
That's what I was going to say, is like, it's something we've had on our list, and it's just like never gets into our cycle, into our schedule. But you bringing up that you're like naturally doing it anyway, it's like, you should be doing that. You should be giving.
Not to get too granular there, but you also have to be careful, like.
Well, not like people who don't want feedback, but like people who you would come on stream and like people would ask you to listen to their track and give them feedback.
No, I get that. But even within people that want feedback, like sometimes I've done this a lot. Like I'm just done with the first draft of the first Lullabies EP. So that's what I'm working on now, and that's going to be out.
Yes, do that.
It probably won't. That'll be released in the spring of next year. That's how far away we are.
Welcome in, Mr. X. I see you resubbing. Thank you.
What's up, Mr. X?
And
definitely. Your music project comes first, obviously.
Yeah. So but I'm saying, like, when I am to the point with the first draft where I'm putting this past like 4 people, the first draft to be like, here's what I'm looking for. I need notes, and this is specifically what I'm looking for. No mixed notes. Nothing about volume or anything. Are they too short, too long? Like, I'm doing specific notes because otherwise it's too overwhelming and they're not ready to go. Like, you could be like, well, that's way too loud, and that blah blah blah. So you have to kind of sometimes you have to know what you're looking for.
That's so true.
And then the second version, after that round of notes, I'll do to like 20 people and be like, hey, does anything stand out? Because I'm to that point now. So it's a great idea, but some people just have to know like what they're looking for notes on before you start. Maybe it's just general, but
it could just be like, I like you were saying, like, I like this part, or I want to hear another song that has this element in it, or or just this was really good. Because a lot of people that share their music in our thread. I'm not saying you should go to our threads and do this. I'm just saying in general, it sounds like you're really good at this, at giving feedback. But a lot of people will be surprised that someone else listened to it, because people will go in and they'll listen to each other's music and they'll comment on it.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole community that's built around it, and I love it so much. I love seeing how much people support each other and how surprised everybody is. They're like, oh my god, this song has been like sitting on my hard drive for 20 years and I've never let anybody listen to it. And we're all like, it's amazing. What have you been what?
Yeah, don't be that person.
Music is meant to be heard by other people, I think.
Yeah,
no, that's why I think that Mitchell should do this, Evan, because not many people know how to offer constructive, positive criticism, if we want to even call it criticism.
I would. I don't know what I would give up that I'm already doing now to make any more time in my schedule.
That's why I was like, we can't
like really,
do this,
there's no fat in my schedule.
You're like, I have 2 hours a day
minutes.
to make music, and I'm like, you should add something to your plate.
I get 90 minutes a week of Street Fighter 6.
Oh, you've got it down pat.
Probably, I don't know, maybe I get an hour and a half a week of YouTube vids, but I don't do a lot of stuff that's not music or putting food in my mouth. So
yeah.
I mean, making money to put food in my mouth. I'm not saying I actually put food in my mouth for 8 hours a day. So
I was going to say, it's mostly shoveling the food in is mostly what I'm doing.
I just spend my time very slowly eating one piece at a time, so it takes me all day.
I am known to be a very slow eater, so that does ring true.
It's good though. Good for your body, right? Good for your psyche.
That's what they say. You're supposed to be chewing slow. Just comes naturally to me. But he'll be done with his entire dinner, and I'll be like, oh, this looks good. I'll be like, just starting. I'm like,
yeah.
Where'd it go? Did you inhale it? Did an alien come and eat it? Yeah, I think that point that you made about asking, like when you're asking people for feedback, giving them specific parameters is really good advice.
Really helpful.
I'm glad you said that.
Like, here's what I've got, here's what I like, and these are the questions I have. And usually it's like, does it need this much, does this part need to be there? Usually for artists, they kind of know, like, I don't know about this bridge. I really love it. I don't know if it works. Or, they're like, I don't know, but man, some of my biggest jumps forward have been things I didn't even know I wanted. I mean, when someone's like, take the vocal out, and you're like, oh my God, that's really so much better, and it hurts. You're like, oh, I love that vocal, but it's also tough because you can really get blindsided by some good direction from time to time.
That's really surprising, because I feel like getting that kind of feedback that's actually like artistic about like what the arrangement is or what choices you've made, like, ooh, that is hard to hear. Just not because it hurts, but because you're like, but I did that intentionally.
Yeah, totally.
I put the energy in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mr. X wants me to talk about my experience watching Oppenheimer. I'm not going to do it, Mr. X.
I think Mr. X is obsessed with Oppenheimer. I see it a lot in what he talks about and his posts and everything. There's a lot of... He's really into the Oppenheimer wave. Maybe he's an old school... Maybe he's been a fan of Oppenheimer since he was a little kid, but...
He's been waiting for this moment.
He's been waiting for this moment. He's riding this wave. Cresting this. Hello, Mr. Spock.
This is his era.
Yeah, welcome in, Mr. Spock, Synth Guy. We conjured you by talking about Spock earlier.
We were talking about Spock earlier. So yeah, for Mr. X, this is the time of the Heim. That's what I feel like that's what Mr. X would say. Is this is the time?
He would. Oh my god. I'm trying to read this.
It just sounds really funny.
Oh, see, Mr. Spock went into home lab weapons. Just
he went dark.
Right there.
We thought we were going dark, but we weren't really going dark.
We weren't, clearly. Yeah. Control, welcome in.
Kid P with the zingers.
Oh my gosh. That movie is the bomb.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We saw it in the theater. Wished I hadn't. I know people have strong feelings about it, so I like definitely don't want to
yuck somebody's yum.
I don't want to yuck somebody's yum. That felt weird to say, but yeah, like art is subjective, and we all have strong feelings either way. I have very, very specific ones, and I just don't feel like I need to say them on here because it wouldn't like uplift the conversation in any way.
Yeah, plus we should probably keep it somewhat parallel to music.
Yeah, I mean, some of my feedback would be about the music and the sound choices in that movie, but have you been hymed?
No.
You haven't been hymed.
I haven't seen anything.
I think you're good.
I will say one thing though. I watched Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx because I watched Mission Impossible somewhat recently.
Is that the new? I don't even know.
Yeah, I watched the new Mission Impossible.
Okay.
And then I was like, I don't know how it came on my radar. It's just some of the internet voices were listening to me, and then I saw this thing for Collateral, and I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to watch that movie again. And first off, like, it was a great vehicle for Tom Cruise because he plays the sociopath, and just his cold, steely, lifeless eyes really make that work. But second of all, music-wise, one of the things I didn't like about the music was that everything was so on the nose. Like, there would be a shot of like a lonely street in LA, and they would play like a Chris Cornell song that was like lonely, and I'm like, we know it's lonely. Like, why did you put a song that said lonely in it?
This is our new favorite joke. How
that seemed
specific.
to happen through the fucking whole movie. I'm like, don't play songs to tell us how to feel. Like, they should support that and not try to point us in the direction of like, yeah, I get the fact that this is an exciting scene. You don't have to have a song that talks about like that sounds like it's from the 80s, like shake down, break down, come on, get the gun now. I'm like, don't do that. No, this feels all wrong.
Aren't you sad now? You're feeling lonely.
Yes, this is our favorite thing now, because I think especially because we watch TV with the captions on. We watch movies with the captions on. So not only are you able to make out every word of what everyone's saying, they've also put the lyrics to the songs that are playing.
Oh no, that would destroy it.
So now you can see how on the nose it is.
How do you do that? To me, that would just be like, oh no.
It does. It ruins it. So now, like, everything we watch, we're like, oh my God. There's literally, like, an AI robot doing all the sync placements for TV and movies now. That's just like, this is a sad song. Bring me a sad song.
But
this song is about someone eating pineapples.
It's added this, like, humor factor, though, that wasn't there before.
That's, you just
like,
cracked
we've had a lot more fun, like, calling that out now. Where, like, you'll barely hear the song, you know, but it'll be like showing the lyrics, and they'll be really obviously what's happening in the scene. And we'll be like, up.
It won't even be like that. How to feel, because that's like a different thing. It's like, don't tell me how. I don't like when stuff like really messes with you emotionally, like through the songs. This is literally telling you what's happening in the scene.
Literally,
with the lyrics. Yeah. Oh, it's so bad. It's gotten really bad, and I do think that that's down to like how songs get picked through the like. There's like one system where all the songs are, and they all have metadata tags, and they're all keywords, and like somebody's just paid to like pick that one based on what the director said they needed for that scene or whatever. Where it used to be an art form to pick songs for movies and TV.
Kind of,
you would
but
get like awards for
it. Like Naruto was saying, that's the power of love.
Yeah, I love that. Skateboard.
Like that back then, they were just like, we'll just have Huey Lewis or Phil Collins write it. They weren't even picking the songs. They were like, it's
you would get
Huey
paid
Lewis
to write the song for it. Yeah.
Or Kenny Loggins and whatever they write.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what was Power of Love was Back to the Future. Does that even have anything to do with fucking Back to the Future? I don't think it does. Mm-hmm. Right? I guess is there a.
But you were excited about the Power of Love. That was about to take over.
But that doesn't even correlate to. It doesn't even correlate to the movie. Also, total lie. What does that song tell us? It says, you don't need money, you don't need fame, you don't need a credit card to ride that train, when you kind of do. Like, to really find love, you need some money.
You do.
Or like fame, that certainly helps out. If you're somebody, then you can find love, I feel like, much easier.
Yeah, we were all lied to.
I feel like we were lied to, like Huey Lewis and his news. Right?
Yes, Huey Lewis and his news.
It should have been Huey Lewis and the lies.
I was going to say, that's fake news.
Yeah, that's true. You listen to fake news.
That joke tanked like it should. Home of Echoes, first time chat. Welcome in. You came at a real fun moment.
Yeah.
So when
I feel like we should have a stream where we just play songs where people not like
as we're
Karaoke.
referencing.
Yeah, we just reference songs and then we play through them and try and cobble together the bits of lyrics that we remember from the songs that probably aren't the way it goes at all.
And then it's like the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Like what you thought it was.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. That's some good stuff. You've definitely hit on some like inside jokes we've been having at home in our little pod that we still kind of feel like we live in a pod. from the old pandemic days, because we just happened to have that lifestyle locked in, and then it's like everybody else was like, oh yay, we get to be out of it now, and I'm like, but we just live that way.
We watch a lot of TV. Yeah.
We squeeze it in, you know. You got your 90 minutes a day where you get to watch some Star Trek. And
how do you guys select the movies that you're going to show every week?
So that's a really
privilege. That's fun.
That's a great question. We have so we do have some parameters about what we watch on stream. So it's all stuff generally from the 50s to the 80s. So we do cut it off at like 1980. We have watched stuff outside of that. We've watched some stuff from like the 40s and some stuff from the mid 80s, but it's very rare. It has to be like a special request. But it's 50s to 80s because it's all movies only and retro sci-fi. So it's like, you know, it's, you want it to be something that's talking about what they thought the future was going to be like, or something that had, you know, a soundtrack from like, you know, somebody cool. Name drop. Insert name drop. That has sort of like a historic tie to like the kind of research we do for the music we make. It's a little academic, but we try to set that limitation. And then we have an Amazon wish list with all the recommended movies that people tell us like, while we're on stream or in our Discord. And then people will send us those movies, and then they go into a poll. So every week we have a vote about one of 3 movies that we're gonna
like
watch.
Phoebe and Louis Barron. F and Izzy. Yeah, like the Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, Forbidden Planet is actually the most
Soundtrack.
recent movie that someone sent us that I haven't had a chance to like share with everybody. Somebody sent us Forbidden Planet, which we've watched on stream before, but from like a borrowed version, and so now we have like the full version. We have like the bonus features and stuff, so we can have some fun with that.
Oh, absolutely. They were geniuses.
Yeah, we've done a podcast episode on the Barons, and we just love
those tube circuits.
The connection to the history of electronic music that's tied into the history of sci-fi movies. Like, it's all tied together, and we love exploring that. But that's about us. You know, you keep asking us the questions.
People want to know.
People want to know about you.
People want to know.
I want to know more about like when you said you're going to be done with this EP soon, right?
Yeah, I'll be done with the first draft of it, but then second draft and then mixing, mastering, all that stuff. Probably release early next year and do like the whole release one single, second single, and then the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Then, so next year.
Yeah, next spring probably. I mean, that's the realistic timeline.
We gotta wait.
Yeah, well, it's got, you know, like I don't have a lot of time to work on it, and there's some other things I want to do with it, and I have a friend that I want to mix it and get it mastered and get it ready, get the art ready, and probably do some kind of visual component to 1 or 2 of the songs, and that takes a couple months. So
yeah, I know. I've seen
all that stuff together.
You put a lot into your music videos, the ones that I've seen on your YouTube.
Yeah, I did some really big projects, but it took too long. I don't think I would do one of those again because it just took so much time and money to make that a reality.
Oh wow!
But I'm glad that I did. But for this, I just can't do that right now. Like I have some visual artist friends that we could do something that was complementary to both the visuals and the music. But as far as doing like a narrative piece, that was one of the ones I did was mostly stop motion animation, and that took 2 years to do.
Yes.
So
that's the truth right there.
I just can't do that anymore. I got to focus on making music right now.
It's about the music, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's too real. That's you know, all of the effort that goes into something, and it takes so long, and then you know, you share it, but it's not like the MTV days, right?
Yeah, and it goes away. Like after you put 2 years into it, you share it, and then after a couple months, people are like, "Oh, that's cool," but I already saw that.
Do you have another one?
That was like $5,000 in 2 years I put into making
that was
thing a reality. So.
And they're like, "Oh, can you make another one? I want to see." They're like, "Can I scroll? I want to scroll through more. I want to scroll through more."
The AI robot pumps out one a week.
That is true. The visuals I can make now. That is true. Like now, I don't have to hire someone to make the cover art that I want because I can make at least the basis of it. Probably generate since I know specifically what I'm looking for. So.
Yeah, that's really
crazy. That's true. But then I'm just gonna, since this is like a whole 25-minute project, and the Lullabies for Electric Minds thing is all a journey. Like it's a narrative arc. The general idea right now, what a lot of people are saying is like, why why release an album? Like, unless you have an idea that for how you want, for why that's an album, don't release an album. Just release singles. That's kind of what the industry is saying right now. Now, the exceptions to that are like, okay, it's an album because there's a theme, or this all talks about the same thing. Like, you guys could easily release an album because you have, your songs are somewhat thematic and you have an idea. So that makes sense. It's a journey. But if you're just putting songs together, don't release them as an album. It's not worth your time. Just release singles every 6 weeks. So this is the whole lullabies thing is because I struggled with sleeping for my whole life. And from when I was making mixed cassette tapes to where I listen to playlists now, I do that a lot when I can't sleep, is I'll listen to a playlist that I've made. And it's valuable to me because I feel like it's not wasted time. If I'm laying in bed and I can't sleep and my brain's racing and I'm trying to slow everything down, if I'm listening to music, I feel a sense of peace, even if it's sad music or whatever it is, even if it's ambient or even noise. I feel like a sense of peace, and that I feel like I'm existing and being a part of something. I feel like I'm engaging with something, and that makes me feel less anxious, and it helps me get to sleep. So I want to make that. So I want to make a 25-minute journey for other people to go through that goes through a few different styles, some mid-tempo, some down-tempo, a lot of piano stuff, and it follows a narrative. And there's a story I have in my mind that I don't have the money to produce. I know what the story is, but you're never going to see it because it would cost me $30,000 and 2 years to produce animation for 25 minutes worth of stuff. So, but when I'm done with that, since this is such a big project and I have to worry about, I was just telling my friend about this the other night, I have to worry about how the songs work with each other. Like, I have to worry about if they're in the same key, are they the same BPM? Does this make sense? Is this one too long? Is this one too short? After I'm done with this first volume of the Lullabies for Electric Minds, I'm just going to do like 3 fun singles next year that don't take a lot of long-term thought, that are just 3 or 4 minute pieces that I really like, just to take a break and be like, yo, I can get this song from start to finish in 6 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. It's done. And I'm really looking forward to releasing those next summer, so I don't have the labor of like, this is a whole thing. This is a whole book. No, this is just a short story. Get it out there. Let people have fun with it, that kind of thing.
Oh, I love hearing that story. It's really, this is why I wouldn't want to find out that a song I like is made by AI, because they're not going to have life experience to bring to why they made what they made, like you just explained. And I think that really hits home for a lot of people. It's music for a purpose, but it's also coming from a personal story place. And I think that's really powerful and important. And just like the art form of taking your life experience, why music is important to you, a purpose that it has, and then creating it and sharing it and telling that story. I mean, that's art to me. That is art.
Yeah.
I feel so dumb.
You know what's weird too is that like there's the commercial side that I've had many I don't know, tense relationships with publicists in the past, because I've never been able to I've never had the budget to hire like a huge publicist. I've just talked to like little publicists and they've helped me out. And it's always a tense relationship between artists and publicists, because the publicist is like, do this thing and be out there in front of people. And the artist is like, I just kind of want to do what I want to do. And I don't want to worry about having to do this thing every day and perform it. But one thing that I've learned is that for a while, people would say like, well, there's got to be a story and it's not going to sell without a story. And what I've come to realize is there's always a fucking story, whether you think so or not.
Exactly.
Whether it's something that you think you just came up with when you were high one night and you were like, this is a fun song, it's a fun song, and then you made it into a cooler song and then you brought in other parts. There's always a story to that. Sometimes you got to mine it, sometimes you got to look for it, but there's always something of like, this is a fun song. Actually, I did this pattern because it reminded me of a song when I was a kid. And it's just an easier process than I used to think it was, of being able to be like, with 10 minutes of thought, I can find the story behind this song, and it really brings people in. It really helps when you're talking about what you love to do, to be like, and this was based on, something I heard when I was 7 years old. And it's just, it's really cool. It's a really cool way to do it.
It's sort of like when we were thinking about it from like the point of view of being a fan of something, right? Like, I immediately go like, who is this person? What's their story? Let me find out what they've put online. Let me find out where they were born. Who are their parents? Why did they start making music? How many other albums have they put out? What's the story behind this? Like, I want to dig into stuff. So if you don't share that, if you just go like, link out now, and that's all you do, you're not giving people anything to like get excited about and dive into.
Yeah. Totally. I'm not on Mastodon, by the way. I haven't gone down that. Homo Echoes
Mastodon.
asked that. I haven't gone down
Who,
there.
did
But
someone ask about Mastodon? I missed that.
yeah, they asked if I was on Mastodon. I haven't even checked that
Oh.
out yet.
Oh, cool. Oh, by the way, thank you, Home of Echoes, for that gift sub. I saw that come through. That was really nice of you.
Nice.
Um,
But
Mastodon
totally
is
would.
something that GSG got everybody plugged into, so I'm on there we're on there just because there's like a GSG board or whatever, but I've
Right.
never logged in. I've never been on it. I have no idea what to do on it, but we are
I haven't.
there.
Yeah.
We're there.
Do you think? I mean, do you think it's worth it? Do you think I should be on Mastodon? I'll check it out.
I think
Like,
some
don't-
people are there, and so maybe if you get on there and you find a way to connect with it and enjoy it, then there is something going on there. I just haven't taken the time to do that. Sort of like it took
Yeah.
me years to understand Twitch, and now I'm like, gosh, I wish I had started sooner.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You never know. When
Yeah,
you're
I'm
gonna
kind of like
stumble.
I'm kind of tired of a lot of the things that I'm on right. Like I don't care about Threads. I kind of don't care about Instagram. Like they're just not working for me. So I'm totally down to check out something different. I'm gonna put my YouTube link up there though.
Oh, good.
If you
Yeah,
want to check
we
out
had,
any of the stuff that I do,
please
go
go
to
to
that
his
YouTube
YouTube.
link.
It was in
That's what I'm
our,
trying to
our
jump
list
off
of
right now.
links, but it's good to get the specific one there, so
yeah.
people know specifically
Yeah,
that's
I
the
don't-
one. Yeah.
I like to dip on the Discord and chat with some people during the day, and then I do like the regulated amount of posting that kind of hits the same people. But I don't feel like, as far as social media as a utility to promote things, I don't feel like it really works very well for me. I'm not really. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. I do it, but it's not like something I put a lot of time into because I feel like most of the people I reach are people that I'm already on a mailing.
You're gonna
that's what I'm doing now. I got a mailing list again.
Ooh, yay!
I went back to that after 10 years.
Oh my
I'm actually
gosh.
pretty stoked about it. Like,
That's awesome.
whenever I'm messaging somebody or someone's like, "Hey, I like your stuff," I'm like, "Can I have your email address?" And something I never should have stopped doing. If I would have kept doing that for the last 5 years, I would have a lot more people. But
Oh my gosh, back in the day with the clipboard at the show. Oh my god.
absolutely, having somebody like, "Yeah, we'll buy you a beer," just work the crowd with this mailing
Go
list.
around.
Yeah, because
Sign up.
I'm about to give up on some of these platforms. I'm like, well, shit, I wish I would have made some kind of other connection with people that wasn't specifically relegated to Facebook or whatever. So
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was something we brought up when we were on the GSG talk show. They were asking
That's
us
true.
about what
Yeah.
we think, which platform, blah, 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 all these things. And I was like, actually, like, the best thing you can do is actually be able to talk to people over email because it's something, I mean, most people, I've had the same email since I was like 14,
yeah,
Like, that's
Yeah,
not
most
going to
people do.
change. Being able to email people isn't going to change. People love, it feels like you're getting a letter from somebody. I love getting emails from, people who are telling me about the art they're making or the shows they're doing or whatever versus
Yeah.
like a bill or some spam or some shit, right? Like it's a great thing to get in your inbox versus you're on a platform because the algorithm wants you to do a certain action on there. It's not necessarily going to be the place to always connect and build a community with people. I think Discord's pretty great for that too. I'm glad that we have Discord now.
Yeah, I want to say though, Booze, I see where you're coming from, and I went through like my first intro into Discord. I was spending more time on Discord than was healthy for me. I don't mean
Ooh.
like healthy, like in a sense, but like was productive for me.
Yeah.
Because like you leave a comment and then like a couple hours, I work from home, right? So then a couple hours later, I was like, I wonder if anybody responded to that comment. And I did this thing, and I'm gonna check that out. So like, I totally get where you're coming from, and I've chosen to check in on Discord like first thing in the morning, and I'll spend like 15-20 minutes, like I said, bopping around there, and then I usually don't check it again for the rest of the day. Because when I first got into it, I was like, wow, like
Yeah.
this is a lot of time that you could be working on music that you're just spending
is.
messing around in the Discord.
Oh my
So I
gosh,
appreciate
finding that
what you're saying.
balance because the Discord thing is never ending to me.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, we had this conversation and now it's over. It's an
No,
ongoing, never ending experience.
Yeah.
So you do have to set your own limitations.
Yeah,
And
totally.
oh, yeah, that can be tough. Especially when you first get into something. You're always going to go hard at it.
Yeah.
But
And you know what? That's the power of love. Sorry, I just had to bring that back.
yeah. Oh my gosh, we could talk about Discord on a whole other stream too.
Yeah.
My goodness, I could go on for days. But it is cool just to nail down that idea that like the social media platforms are definitely had a purpose and can be good, but like they're ever changing, and there's a lot of people that I've lost touch with because they're not on this one or that one anymore, and you're just like
Yeah.
forget who that person is.
Yeah,
you associated
start
them
getting
with
people's emails.
that platform and that name. So yeah, I think
Get people's emails. Send out shit once. Like, don't send out emails every 2 days. Send them out once a month, once every few weeks. You
have
know,
something to say.
Talk about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't be too like intimidated by the idea that you're sending an email. Just think of it like you would send an email to a friend.
Yo, my emails seriously look like the 3-year-old designed them. Like, I don't even care.
Oh my God,
like, it's
remember
all information.
when you used to have to be like a web designer to send your email back in the day?
You couldn't even make MailChimp work.
You couldn't.
I first got on MailChimp, I was like, I can't do any of this stuff yet.
It had to like look like a professional with like all the graphic design stuff going on. And now it's like if you do that, like the email deliverability, like it won't even send your email if you do that.
It'll tank.
It'll be like, this is clearly marketing or spam. Like, you have to send something that looks like you're just talking to a friend, or it won't even deliver the email. Things have changed so much.
Give it a few months, you have to go back to the professional format.
A good rule of thumb, I was talking about this with a friend of mine that's publishing a book, is good rule of thumb is like, figure out how many people you're really going to reach, and then figure out how much time you want to spend on that social media post or email. As in, this person that I was talking to reminded me of someone that was like making these reels for Instagram and like spending fucking 2 hours on these reels. And I was like, yo, 12 people are going to see that reel. And if it makes you feel good, do it. If it makes you happy and you want to look back in 20 years and be like, I made that reel, that's cool. But if you're doing it for promotion, think about how many people you're reaching and decide how much time. If you're reaching 12 people, still do it. Spend 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Spend 15 minutes, because it's really, that is a big old shark in the ocean right now, is social media platforms like make everything cool. And you're like, and if you're not careful, you'll spend 10 hours a week advertising to the same 10 people trying to make everything cool. So make sure that you're splitting up your time between getting the word out there in the simplest way possible if you have a small following, and then investing the rest of your time into learning your gear, working on your visuals, writing your music, like making stuff that you know will stay with you longer than that 30-second reel.
Oh my God. Ding 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 ding. That was brilliant advice. Also, I think that's why I love Twitch so much.
Yeah. We talked about the ephemeral quality of it.
It's like such a more fulfilling experience to have with people, to hang out in a long form open-ended hang, than to be I spent all week on this reel, and then you post it and 5 people see it.
It's like doink.
Doink.
And it's gone.
Yeah, and you're like, I could have hung out on Twitch for 3 hours with people and like had like a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually that's one of the best things too about streaming on Twitch, is that if you want content, like it's there. Like you just take your streams and chop them up, and you can put that stuff up all day and night and forever. So you don't have to make up, talking head stuff. I don't think. I mean, the sites don't want that. They want people talking and saying things.
That's a good point. It's like
more
you
than
can
they want
chop
music,
up
but
your
whatever,
stream, but they don't really want you doing it. They don't like it. You have to work really hard to kind of fit it into the format so that they don't flag you.
Yeah.
Spending too much time on social media does make you feel worse than if you just hadn't. What email client do you use for mass emailing? What are you using?
MailChimp.
Yeah,
I've just been with it for years. I don't know if there's worse and there's better. I don't care. I just like it fast for me. It totally gets the job done. If I get up to I think I have 200 people. That's it on my emailing list. And if I got up to 1,000 people, then I would probably okay, I'm going to invest a little bit of time into making these look really cool. But with 200 people, it's just not worth. All I want to do is get them the information.
Yeah, and they want it.
Looking cool is not going to change their mind as to whether or not they come to my stream. If those people are opening the email, they know who I am, and they just want to know when I'm streaming. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to impress those people.
Give the people what they want.
Such a good point.
If I got one of those deals where it's get people's emails through Bandcamp, where I didn't really know the people or I had no connection with them, maybe I would be all right, I'll give somebody $50 to make me a cool looking email template that I can work on.
Yeah, I don't even think that matters though. I think it's more about do the people actually want your emails? Are they actually opening them? Are they actually taking the action? And if they're not, then write a different kind of email. But the design of it does not matter at all.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
I think I am. I think I've spent enough of a rabbit hole's amount of time trying to figure that out, because at the end of the day, you want people to actually want to be on your email list and want the information and want to reply back to you. And if what you're doing made you feel like I should get an A for this email, but then nobody opened it, it's like, well, what good was that?
Yeah, that's another tough part is finding people that want what you're putting out there naturally.
That's like, the most important part.
So many of us, and this happened to me a lot as a younger artist, is like you're kind of begging friends and family, like, here's my stuff, and you realize after a while they're not fans of you. They don't like that kind of music. They're just people in your circle that aren't drawn by that kind of music anyway. So it's just so much better to invest that time into like going on Twitch and being like, hey, what communities do modular? I bet there's people out there doing modular that I haven't met yet. Let's try and meet up with those people. Be like where do modular fans go to watch stuff?
Be
like,
a person that would want to get someone else's emails. I think that's the best way to get people to want your emails, is to be someone who wants other people's emails.
Sure. Yeah. Try and make those connections with people that are geared toward what you're doing rather than just the people that happen to be around you, which is a big mistake that I made.
I mean,
which
that was
like
all we had
just hitting my friends
long.
and just hitting up my friends over and over again and being like, are you coming tonight? And I'd be like, dude, I should find people that dig what I do, you know?
Yeah,
like,
because
more so
after a
than
while, those friends, they may come, but after a while, you start to feel bad. Things don't feel so good over time when you need those
and they
friends
have
to
kids
be
or
the
drift
ones.
away or like, things just don't.
That is such a good point about playing live. Like we were listing pros and cons earlier. You know, just that idea that like, you know, how many times have I been disappointed if somebody like sends me a regret for, you know,
at the last minute
for not showing up, and I was like, man, I was really counting on that person.
I was counting
they
that
were
head.
gonna be one of my like 10, you know.
I told the venue I could pull 10. Now it's
That's
9.
funny.
Now it's 9.
Because of my history, like I never flake on an artist, like to my detriment. I've had partners that are like, you're sick. I'm like, I don't care. I said I'd be there, so I'm gonna be there for 10 minutes. Just because like I've been through I've been through that heartbreak so much in my life.
Oh my God, same.
So whenever somebody's like, yeah, I'm doing a poetry reading, and like I think about it, and I'm very honest with people. I will say to people bluntly, like, yeah, I can't make that, or like, yeah, there's no chance I'm gonna go.
It's a good way to be.
Thank you for saying that.
If I say like I'm gonna be there and shit comes apart and my job's like, where do you do to stay late? I'm like, nope, I'm going to this poetry reading. Because that's what I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be an artist and get that excitement from people. And then sometimes, you know, you get these 20 conversations going and you're like, yes, this is going to be cool. And then 5 people show and you're like, man, I wish those people that I was vibing with had come, because I really think they would like this. It's a crazy little heartbreak you get from time to time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. That's like one of my values as a human, is that like I will be like, if I say I'm doing something, I'm doing it. And if I say I'm not, I will do the hard thing and say I'm not. And I really don't appreciate someone just saying that just to be nice because they don't want to tell me no. Like, I'd rather you just be straight with me.
But people, I've gotten in trouble for that though. I've definitely gotten in trouble for, I've had people say like, that was kind of rude when you said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, well, I'm not. Like, I'm not going to tell them that I guess it could have said like maybe, but that's not even true either.
No, that's worse.
Like,
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants a maybe.
That's bringing me back to the old days of like whenever you played a show, and we're going to wrap this up now because you told me you had an hour and we've already taken 2.
Mind you, we're probably talking about LA days, which they were really bad there.
Back when
stereotypically.
Every show you played, you had to create a Facebook event for. And people could say going, not going, maybe.
I know where this is going.
That was the most frustrating season of all of these eras we've talked about. Is that like when you would book your shows and the venue would be like, did you make the Facebook event? Like they would want to see that you did that as like proof that you were promoting the show. And then you would just spend every day being like, who said maybe? Have they changed to a yes? Have they changed to a no? And then you would like count them still. And then none of the maybes ever came. That was like a whole era.
And if the venue asked you, you would definitely count those maybes. You'd be like, oh, 50. You know? Like, and 40 of them are maybes. And you're like,
yeah. God, it's weird when you take a step back. It's just such a weird thing that we do. Like we make something where there was nothing. And then we kind of beg people to come out and check it out. And then sometimes we pay other people. Right now, we pay other people to try and advertise what we make for free that other people get for free. You know?
Oh.
It's just crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, it does seem like something's broken there.
I mean, you could look at it like an investment. Like I'm trying to get to the point where people will pay me for it, but you know, those are super long odds. So
Yeah.
it's got to be something that you just love doing. Like I pay for YouTube ads. I pay like $5 a day for a couple weeks to try and get in front of. It's been successful. Like I've had some people that I've connected with outside of YouTube that I've found through ads.
That's really cool.
But the
that's
idea,
success, though, don't you think?
Oh, fuck, man, that took me 6 months to figure out how to run those fucking ads, though. How to run those ads, because like I do the lullabies for Electric Minds, and then I was like, wow, I'm getting a lot of views, nothing's happening. Guess what? Baby channels. I spent like $200 advertising to toddler channels, literal, like put my toddler to sleep channels, which is like those people are never going to be fans. Like they don't care what I do.
Yeah.
So YouTube was just like a minefield. It took me honestly probably took me 3 or 4 months to get in the rhythm, because there are so many metrics you can adjust.
I was going to say, you have to decide which of the metrics you care about, what's success for you, because you could very easily get lost in the numbers of it.
Yeah, and you have you have to try and make sure you're hitting real people and you're getting engagement, not in the way like I want to get engagement to prove anything, but I don't want to be landing on bots. I don't want to be landing on 5-year-olds. I want people that are going to show up and like my stuff. And at the end of the day, success to me is when one person is like, "Oh my God, I love what you did," or "You really touched me," or "That's amazing," or "This made my night," or "I cried," or "I jumped in the air," or something like that is fucking success. Yeah. But if I'm not reaching people, if it's just bots, like I said, or if it's people that aren't going to connect with me in any way, then it's kind of a loss of money. But it's funny that we put ourselves out there, and then we do it a second time, and then sometimes that we end up paying for it, which is also a really good way. Last thing I'll say, really good way. If you're nervous or stressed about your Twitch stream, what I've been doing lately has been like, well, it's free. Like nobody paid to see it, so like even if it's not good, or even if I screw up right and left, like it's a free show, guys. Like, you know, it takes the pressure off of me. I'm very hard on myself. So
I was going to say, that sounds like a mental game you need to play, because most of us are enjoying the journey of just being live with you and seeing what's going to happen. And like, even if there's a mistake, like it's part of what's happening, you know?
Yeah. That's a really big part of, we talked about this on a few weeks ago. Just that's one of the beauties of Twitch, is that you kind of like, you don't want to see something that's going completely. You don't want to feel like you're listening to someone play DJ music. If you're tuned into a live stream, you want to see mistakes, and you want to see chances taken. You know, you want to see that part not come in at the right time, or that not land, or somebody do like a vocal thing where you're like, "Ooh, that is spicy. That is a spicy vocal. Not sure if that works, but I love that you're doing it." That kind of thing.
That was full circle, because I feel like that was a lot of what we started the conversation with. So that was brilliant. Do you mind giving us just like a little, that overhead, like tell us about the person sitting behind you and like everything that's in your studio, and then we'll let you leave.
This is Think Man. I've had him for about 30 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, I stole him from a department store a long time ago, and like I've moved so many times and lost so much stuff, but I've kept this guy. So he's kind of my mascot. Like you see the hat and the eyes are kind of like what's in my logo.
Yeah, I always like, that is what I think of with you, is that.
So that it's just something I care, and I talk to him, and it's really strange and
it's your Wilson.
Bizarre. Yeah, I guess so. It's my Wilson, but yeah. Let me change my cameras up real quick. Oops, I just turned my video on. So are we talking about gear or?
Yeah. I just you know.
We'll go through this real quick.
Might as well.
My stuff isn't really super interesting.
I want to see what you got going on.
So what I do is this is the bottom board, and this is a Yamaha CP88, which has really good natural organic piano Rhodes organ vibes and sounds.
Solid.
So I like this because you can't see the top of it, but there's switches that control all the layers. So you can move really fast. Oops, that's an example. You can move really fast between different patches, and I can do stuff on the fly and bring stuff in and out and all that stuff. I'm not doing a good job at all of showing it, but
no, you're doing great. What happens is that the noise suppression is kicking in, and so it's making it so that we're hearing like notes here and there. This happened last time on our stream too.
That's what. Yeah, that's something about Zoom that I think you can turn it off.
You can turn it off, but then things get really crazy. So everybody just tune into Mitchell's streams if you want to hear the sounds, but we're gonna know we're just learning about what the gear pieces are.
So this is the bottom board, and this is like my go-to for piano if I lose track of things, or if I just want to play. If I'm sick of doing beeps and boops and I'm sick of playing with loops, I just want to play, then I'll come down here and just play something that I'm really feeling. This is really, really cool. This is the JV, what am I saying? JV 1080? I can't think anymore. I'm sorry, it was Roland Juno D88, and it's got most of like good synth sounds, but synth sounds I can kind of play around with a little bit.
Oh, nice.
So it's definitely more in like beepy boopy territory. I'm only playing piano solos. Yeah.
Do you have a Roland JV 1080?
I do, but I don't use it anymore. I don't know why.
You don't use it though. It's a rack.
It's a rack.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I love that piece of gear though. That thing was a tank.
Nice.
That was brolic. And then I do vocoder up here and a lot of synth sounds up here. And then on this board, this is just sounds I'm pulling. This is VSTs that I'm pulling.
Okay.
So this does all like the more trendy synth sounds that I really like.
Cool. It's coming through here and there, yeah.
So that's kind of like more funky stuff that I use, and I try and keep these boards assigned to those general feels to get me through a set. So I know like, okay, this is top line over here. These are pads, and this is main. Otherwise, I'll lose track of what's going on where.
Yeah.
So I have to know like this is always going to be your bedrock. This is going to be your pads, and this is going to be your front sounds. This is going to be your top lines and stuff like that. And then on top of that, I put together just Ableton loops over, and then I just play over those loops. I do, like I said, I'm really into stripping things right now, like stripping out pieces and then playing over the top of them. This is something, I don't know how this, let me make sure this doesn't. So this is 3 things. You can hear it.
It almost let us hear it.
So that's like, this is from the Who's Bob O'Reilly. I could start there, and then I added in. This is the drum beat from 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
Insert.
And that's Paper Planes from MIA.
Oh, nice.
So I'm having a lot of fun putting these together.
So you're preparing those in Ableton sessions, and then you can play around and trigger them with the controller. Then I just write a song kind of on top of it. Wow.
That's kind of what I'm having fun doing right now. But like I don't know. I don't know what the good thing about Twitch is. Who knows what I'll be doing in 6 months? A lot of this stuff is Izzy. It's a CP88. I really like the CP88. But who knows? That's one of the good things about being in this community is that a lot of this stuff I've seen other people do. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Like I want to get into some ambient stuff. I want to get into some noise stuff. So like, who knows where I'll be in 6 months? It's a lot of fun to be in this community where people are. And when I've never gotten into modular stuff, and now I'm going to another convention and trying to pick up things along the way that I could add into my rig. I'm terrified though of getting into modular because I feel like it's just so much gear, so much more gear.
Well, it's definitely a totally different frame of mind than sitting at the keyboards.
Yeah, that's why I want to get into it. But I'm joking when I say I'm terrified of it, but it's one of those things.
I know what you mean, because you're going to be
just open up a new can. You open up like a new doorway, and you're like, fuck, like where am I going to get time to get all this stuff down? So.
Well, you'll have like a season of it, and then you'll like kind of figure out your own like pathway with all of the different skills that you have to bring.
Yeah, it's really endless, the possibilities with something like a Eurorack format. It's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. Cool.
Thank you so much for showing us that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some Chinese food. What are you guys doing after this?
Woohoo! Probably like going to bed.
Okay, that's good. That's a good plan. That's
really exciting stuff over here.
That's gonna make your tomorrow so much better. I gotta tell you.
That's code for probably watch a few TV shows.
Fall asleep to the TV.
Good times.
Like fall asleep to sci-fi and then have really weird dreams.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, that's usually what we do. If I don't watch sci-fi to fall asleep, I read sci-fi to fall asleep, and then my dreams are insane.
Yeah, it's either that or RuPaul's Drag Race.
That too. It's always a classic go-to. Helps my gas. You're helping everyone's gas.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you, Boost, for being here. Yeah, thank you so much.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Thank you so much for hanging out.
Yeah, I feel so inspired.
Yeah, it's good. I always love talking about this with other musicians too. Like I said, you always get new ideas come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching these talks as well, because every time I watch somebody chat about something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably a good way. And there's a lot of like inspirational things I draw from them.
Mm-hmm.
And
now you're part of that.
Your GSG talk, you were like, somebody asked you a question. I really liked your answer. You said they were talking about what to do. And you said, well, it kind of depends on what you want. I'm doing a terrible job of saying this, but they were asking what to do with social media and promotion. You're like, well, first you got to figure out what you want. Like, what do you want out of this?
Yeah.
And that's got to be before you do anything else. And I thought that was a very grounded, solid piece of advice that you got to figure it out. That's got to be the first thing. Like, what are your goals?
You have to have
what
your
do
vision
you want
and your goal. Exactly.
That's always my advice for sound design as well. Like, have the sound you want to make in mind before you begin the journey of making it.
Oh my God. And so few people do that, including myself.
Same.
I don't always do it either. That's when I'm being good about it.
That's the bar, though, that you set.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, I feel like you said some really amazing stuff, so I'm excited to then take a clip from this and share it to social media and have this be a whole meta loop that we've built.
Yeah, I love that.
Incredible.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys. I'll see you at KnobCon. I hope that some other people.
I'm going to drop your links one more time.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm
knows.
playing Sunday on the Shrimp Sunday at 7.
Yay.
I'm doing a recap of my summer hits, like all my favorite new stuff I came up with this summer.
Wow.
I'm just playing all the new songs all the new loops and ideas that I came up with this summer. It's kind of like a look back.
Nice.
Over the summer, you know. I think we're all on that point where we're like, summer's kind of going away and we're all kind of sad and all that stuff.
So that's weather-wise, that's been happening to us here, so we feel it hard. But I'm so excited people have something to look forward to from this, to see you on Sunday. So.
Yeah. Drop in my YouTube and I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Yeah.
And what are you doing? What's your next thing? Is it movie? We're on Thursday, right? So movie.
Thursday. So the next stream would be Saturday movie night, but Penn did. I'm not sure if we can do it or not. So we're still in this limbo where we've been setting up our studio and stuff, and things are a little wonky. But we don't have like a normal schedule right now. But that would be our next one if we do it.
All right, nice. I'll pop in for sure.
We'll see.
Cool.
No
all right,
pressure.
Guys, thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll
see you around.
All right, talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye. Yay! That was so fun. I never know. Oh
Summer
gosh.
breeze.
What is that explosion? That was like waiting in the wings to explode. That was so fun. Thank you all so much for joining us. Daruk and I saw you sneak in as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks for checking it out. It's never too late.
A little sneak peek of our studio right now. We're trying to figure out how to stream in here and also make music. Oh, he's revealing. Although you can't really tell what it is. This is something new.
Those are the groove boxes.
The groove box shelf here. But mostly what we've been doing is configuring this room. Like how can everything fit in here so that it's comfortable for us and inspiring with the, I'll give you a little taste, but I brought my Mellotron back in. So just trying to, get a workflow. So the goal was, this is a little sneak peek.
SL64.
This is what we're working on explaining. Our explainer of our studio.
Is it SL or S?
It is SL.
SL64? I thought it was a 64S. Yeah.
It's an SL64S.
SL64S.
But our goal was, talking about having a goal first, so we realized that being able to record our, we like to play, obviously the Twitch thing, right? Like we like to play live, we like to improvise and generate our ideas live. But we were recording them to 4-track, which is great. Like our whole aesthetic is about tape, but when we were going back to be like, oh, I wish that vocal line I was doing in that bleep bloop that was happening weren't going in that particular moment. And being able to multi-track became our new goal, which is something that's really evolved over time. We were really against it for a long time because we thought capturing everything live to tape was ethos. That was our goal. That was our goal at the time.
I would say abide by that when it comes to the prep work, like the sound design and stuff. I still like believe strongly in like I said, like thinking of a sound and trying to get it right up front.
We're not just noodling to find it. It's like when we're cutting something live, it's because there's an energy in the live that we haven't been able to replicate doing it in the DAW. So our goal was to take that same energy but have like as many tracks as we actually want. So now we have that, but we're still in the like getting all the cables, getting everything hooked up, getting the workflow going. So we're not 100% there yet. But it's taken a lot. It's taken a lot of a lot of brain power to think through everything that we have and every goal that we want to achieve to make sure that we're getting to that.
It was hard to find something that had that many physical inputs.
Yeah. Oh my God, we went around and round and round.
And then finding something with all the physical inputs was one thing, but then having the 1/4 inch inputs.
The amount, not every board has
the Studio Live is one of the few things that actually has a bunch of 1/4 inch combo jacks.
That's so cool, Effin, that you have the 32 channel one.
And so it's working pretty good for you. We're enjoying it so far.
Yeah, the little bit of testing we've done so far
sounds really clean.
Amazing. And it's again getting the lowest latency, cleanest, direct live sound that we are capturing, multi-tracked. That was our goal. So
it's got a lot of headroom. I was surprised at the amount of headroom it had for a digital board. It's really hard to clip it, I've found.
We're very happy with it so far. I would say that was the biggest thing, right? We went through this process like very methodically, and it took a long time to get to the place that we're at now. And everything has worked out. And so that is the biggest success for us, is that we had this goal, we had this vision. It took a lot to figure it out. And every step of the way, we were like, oh my God, that actually does the thing we wanted it to do. Oh my gosh, that actually works in the workflow for the goal that we have. Oh my gosh, that actually is the level of quality we needed it to be. Like everything has been working out. So I would say it's sort of like when you plan to build a house and you like do all the drawings and you get all the materials and then you put it together and everything fits perfectly. The way you imagined it on paper, to have it come to life, that's a pretty exciting feeling. So now we're just sort of like taking a breath to be like, oh, that was exhausting. All right, now let's make some
music with this stuff. Yeah, I'm like, I appreciated that Mitchell was constantly saying, that's more time I could spend on music. You know, that's sort of where we're at now, where we're like just wanting to go at it, you know?
Darukan, I believe it's like 20 feet this way. And like maybe
it's pretty small.
14. Oh, it's smaller. Obviously, it's like more narrow and then long.
When the one time we had a guest that's seen the stream,
Grace came over,
and they actually came over in person. They said that it was much smaller than they expected.
Yeah. It's however.
This
long...
camera angle makes it look a lot bigger.
Wait, no, it would be longer than However long these tables are, there's like 2.5 these tables that fit in here, long ways. It's definitely been tricky because we want to be able to face each other. So that was like another goal that we had, was can we face each other while we make music but still stream? So we're not 100% sure that that's working out yet. That's going to be our next step in this process, is like, how do we do this and also stream still and see everybody?
And that was the other thing, is we didn't want to have to go the patch bay route right off the bat. So the 1/4 inch inputs were really important because, you know, if we want to route some things, you can do so digitally. And the idea was just to get all the physical outputs of our gear inputted into the board without having to bother with a patch bay. Because that would be a whole new set of cables, and you know, you got to do like
it was one variation, right? Like one of the variations.
Something we thought about, yeah.
We mapped out like 4 or 5 different variations of what we thought would work based on, we'd be like, okay, this is the main heart of it. What would that require? Okay, a patch bay, a this, a that, all right. Okay, do we want to do all those things? I don't think so. What if we use this? What if we use that? So then we would build out all these different versions until we came to this. And here we are.
I'm not opposed to the idea of eventually getting a patch bay, just because it's nice for like effects, especially.
Yeah, but it was also about trying to like obviously we want to multi-track, but we also want to limit ourselves to a certain degree.
Yeah, that's sort of that's where we're at right now, at least, is
because at the end of the day we got to mix this. I don't want to be mixing 75,000 tracks.
Making sure that we stick to the limit of 32 tracks.
Yeah,
which is still a lot.
But yeah, I do think that that's in our future. That's probably the next piece of the puzzle, is Apache Bay. But I do think that making music needs to come first, and talking like with Mitchell about like that momentum of like being in the groove of creating and recording and releasing is like, that's the groove I want to be in. Not I know all about gear. It's like, I want to make music.
Yeah, so, I'm like over it at this point.
I'm really burnt out.
I'm happy to talk about it right now, but I can't wait to just...
We've missed you all. We've missed streaming. We've missed being connected, and we've missed making music. But this was necessary. It's that sort of thing. You have to like slow down and take a step back so that you can launch yourself forward again. So yeah, that's the deal. Oh my gosh. Wow, this was super fun. Y'all reminded me how much I love doing this and how much I missed it. So thank you so much for being here and for caring and for being such amazing audience support, listeners and everything, for hanging out with our guests, whether they're Mitchell, someone you know, or someone you don't know. You're always so amazing to our guests, and that means a lot to us because it speaks to, us as well. So thank you all so much. Thank you for the love. Oh, wait, I'm like, wait, what happens now? I have to raid somebody.
That's...
I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot how to do Twitch for a second. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying that transition of seasons that we're going through. I know we're all feeling it because I'm hearing it from people. We had like the craziest storm today where it was just like super dark. Like all day I was like, is the sun gonna come out? I forgot what this is like. Mino, I don't know how to say that. It's really funny because they were on my list of people. Formerly Menino Nor. I was like, I follow this person, but I don't know who they are. It's Menino Nor. Perfect. I love when someone recommends people too, because then we're all we're all in this together. Menino. Okay, there we go. Thank you for telling me that.
And thank you, F and Izzy, specifically for being in the stream. You're sort of an all-star standout. And it was rad that
could give awards.
It was rad that you got gifted a sub.
Yeah, that was really cool. And that you you were able to tell us we made a good choice.
Yeah, I always like a little positive, specific feedback.
Rock! Oh my gosh. Feeling so much love. All right, here we go. It's got to end one way or another, right? Thank you all so much. You're the best. We miss you. We look forward to seeing you again. Join our Discord if you want to, or our email list, as we talked about, if you want to know what we're up to, what our next stream will be. Good to see you again, J+J+J. We may stream a movie this Saturday if we can. We might have a conflict, so we're waiting to find out. Jock Van Valet! Oh, you made it just in time for our raid. Good to see you. Yeah, so we'll let you know in the Discord if we're going to stream on Saturday for movie night or not. Enough to say hello. Yes. Now we're going to take you to the other side, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye for now.